Just want to say hello to everybody. I'm doing a test right now. Jaru, let me know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, press one. If you can hear me, press one. If you can hear me, press one. I think everybody can hear me. Okay, if you can hear me, press one. If you can hear me, press one. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me? Press one if you can hear. I don't think nobody can hear me. It's showing that it's in there. Okay, now you can hear. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Okay, guys. All right. All right, guys. I apologize for the technical difficulty. I had some issues. I had to use another computer that I don't typically use. Something's wrong with the other one. I'm definitely going to have to get that checked out. I know we kind of starting off a little janky today, but we have a lot to talk about today. I'm going to focus on the issue of should Amber Guyger be forgiven, and I'm going to talk about how the fix was in this situation from in regards to this was all planned. So she says remove them. Now she's saying we can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Okay, now y'all can hear me. Testing one, testing two. Testing one, testing two. It should be clear. What about now? Can you hear? Is it still low to you, Diddy? Is it still low? Because Cher is saying that it's clear. Really, really, did he? Okay, okay, okay. All right, guys. I'm back. This is D Darrell at the practice, guys. Doing kind of a impromptu type of show today. I wasn't planning on doing a live stream. I was going to wait till I get out of YouTube jail, which is basically going to be Saturday. I was planning to have a big, pretty good show, high packed show with a lot of different things going on. Unfortunately, some things have happened in regards to the Amber Guyger decision for uh, the guy in which she murdered and so forth. So I plan to discuss that. I think that we should discuss the issues in regards to this case. Before I get started on that, I want to kind of talk about some issues in regards to the current status of the show and things just as far as where I stand with the show when I get back to D Darrell channel. First of all, I'd like to say I appreciate all the support from everybody that has continued to watch the show and watch the content as I was dealing with the issues that I was dealing with. Number one, I appreciate you all for supporting me through this, through the issues that I had to deal with YouTube and so forth. I have made some necessary changes to the channel in regards to people coming in and causing ruckus and so forth. I expect that not to happen in the future. Um, I plan to continue talking about all the different issues that we enjoy discussing on a day to day basis or a weekly basis whenever I do live streams. The show was taken down last Friday, which I felt was a really good show. And then as you know, I got in a strike, and I received a strike, and I was not able to do any live streams for a whole week. So all I've been doing is focusing. Couldn't upload any videos, so I've been using DDS Sounds by D Darrell. So everybody is aware of that. Now I'm going to continue to talk about different things that I want to talk about, and I'm not going to let this particular situation with GP and BA and Miss AAS, and I'm just giving those abbreviations for those people because I am not going to say their names again. I'm going to use the abbreviations for that because I do understand that they may try to come in other troll accounts whenever I'm doing a live stream. So I'm going to basically use that kind of information. I got to be careful what I say. I am going to not talk about many issues in regards to LGBT because that's not basically what we usually talk about. We talk about a variety of different things, but not particularly that in general. So I'm going to kind of stray away from that, get back to the basics, focusing on mental health, focusing on different issues that affect our community. That's what I want to focus on. That's what I think everybody wants to hear when they come to this particular platform. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Those are the things that I want to do, and I think that's what pretty much everybody wants to hear. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Now, um, what I want to do, I'm going to talk for about the next 5-10 minutes, just giving you my perspective of things. Then I'm going to let people come up. I'm going to send some links out there, and then I'm going to let people come and talk that want to discuss things in regards to the Amber Guyger case. Number one, I think that it was a slap in the face once again to us as a people in regards to basically a black person cannot even be in their own home, and a cop, it could be a cop or any other white person that does the thing that they did, and they're deemed as the victim while this guy Botham is dead. It's a damn shame that our justice system, which I'm not surprised, put in the fix. I am sick and tired of black people kissing white people ass. Even in the midst of your own family member being killed, there are people kissing this white woman ass. You saw the person, the jailer brushing her hair as she's sitting there. This woman accused of murder, and you sitting there brushing and rubbing her hair like you wish that was you, or you wish that was your hair, or you just admired her beauty because you're black and she white. Then the judge, unprecedented in American history, do you have a judge getting out of the goddamn bench to go hug the murderer? Not hug the family. Not hug. She didn't hug the brother. She didn't hug the mother. She hugged the murderer, and then you extending out a Bible like that's going to help for the fact that this person didn't even say she was sorry. So my question is about a matter of forgiveness because this has many layers. When we're focusing on Christianity, how we perceive, how many black people perceive forgiveness in the realm of Christianity and religion, we are in some in, at some point something is wrong with the fact that we easily forgive when wrong is done to us, but when we do wrong to others, they don't forgive back. I am sick and tired of people who quote unquote of Christianity that think they're trying to do all these things to be right by God, and at the same time we get shot down every day. I'm sorry, we're gonna have to explore that. We're gonna have to explore the psychology of our ability to overlook the wrongdoings of other people, but but they fail to do so in return, and thus we continue to do the same cycle over and over as if we're expecting a different result from them. Okay, I did a video on this. It has to be. This is something that I'm going to continue to look at. I'm not letting this go because I'm sick and tired of seeing black people who are the victim forgiving people, feeling sorry for them, and etc. I've counseled many people that deal with grieving, and never in my life have I seen people forgive other people that are truly grieving so easily. When people forgive someone, it can take years, not the end of a case or 1 year or whatever. It takes for the average person, particularly, you can't measure it, when someone can grieve and how much they should and should not grieve. However, in my process of providing therapy for people who are grieving, it can take 3 years, it can take five, it can take 10 years for someone to get over the death of a loved one. But then you got coons on there repetitively in our society getting murdered, and the families talking about we forgive, we forgive. Particularly those who love to go to church and use the Bible as a way to be a coward. Dylan Roof killed all those people in South Carolina. Before those people was even in the ground, the family members, we forgive him for what he did. Sickening. Your family member dead, and you talking about a white supremacist who don't even care about black people, who came in there in the, the intention to kill you and everybody around, and you forgive him. The hell is that? And I'm sorry. I'm not about to be here and say I'm all empathetic for the family, and they're going through this, and they going through that, and so all this other stuff, and they using stuff like that. They know not what they do, and the Bible says this. I don't want to hear any of that. I'm talking about using common goddamn sense. Where's common sense? This woman did not say she was sorry when she was on the stand. She did not look at the parents of that man, and say, I am sorry. She did not look at the brother and say, I'm sorry. She was trying to save her own ass. That's what she was trying to do. And then you turn around and talk about how sorry you are. I'm sorry. Something is wrong with that. Something is wrong with that. And if something is wrong with our people continuing to do that, it's if we're going to get some type of different treatment in return. Christianity should not be used, or any religion should be used in a way to exude weakness. It should be used to exude strength. And I'm sick and tired of us feeling like we're beaten down. We're so defenseless. We just gonna have to pray for them, and God gonna make a way, and all this foolishness I used to hear growing up. And you continue to hear this shit on TV with people with their Bible, the judge. When have you ever heard a judge giving their own personal Bible to somebody? This was a fix. The fix was in the judge, the DA, the lawyers, the family. Is I'm starting to believe that all those. I'm starting to believe all this stuff was orchestrated. I'm starting to believe that that family was paid off to do this. I'm starting to believe that the mother, the son were paid and instructed to say and what they said. It just went by too smoothly. Who the hell asked the judge, "Can I give her a hug? Can I please give her a hug? I don't even want her to go to jail. I just want the best for her. I just want all of this and I just want that." They used the judge, they used the lawyers, they used that and it was so sickening to see that security person or that jailer rubbing her hair and rubbing her and all this other stuff and consoling her for murdering somebody that looked just like you. You just don't know. I just cringed the whole time seeing this bullshit. This woman should have gotten 25 years to life. This lady should have got 25 years to life. Now she gonna get off in 5 years. Now I'm about to send the link up so that you all can get the link, and I'm gonna let you all come up that want to speak on this. Um, I'm gonna probably be on for a couple of hours or so. But this was disrespect. This was just totally disrespect, not only to the family. I don't care if they cooning or not. It's still disrespect. But I'm just sick and tired of seeing this. I'm sick and tired of seeing this same stuff over and over and over. Okay? I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of black people continuing to allow ourselves to be treated this way. And then you wondering every month why a black person getting shot down. There is no justice. The only justice we're gonna have is us sticking together and being on code. That's the justice. We're going to get justice from each other and quit interacting and quit supporting these people that continue to do this to us. Take our dollars away, take our working capital away, our intellectual property, everything that we do to support this economy and so forth. We need to take it away and become stingy for ourselves. So I see Deity and Jaru in here. I'm gonna let them speak. I'm gonna let them come aboard, guys. I'm just coming in right now. I appreciate everybody for coming in. Definitely want to give a shout out to everybody. I apologize for the issues that have happened. I'm back on. I saw an old person, one of my old uh, uh, members, subscribers. Christina Williams was here, and then she left. I hope she come back. So just give me a second. I'm going to let you all come in. What's going on, guys?
Hey,
Hey,
what's
hey,
up?
what's up?
Okay, let me turn this down a little bit. Okay. Hello?
Hey.
You.
Okay. All right. So guys, I'm just gonna let you all take the floor. Whoever wanna speak your truth, just say whatever you feel on this particular situation. Go ahead.
I just feel like we as a people are definitely like feeling as though we need white validation. I mean, I don't understand why. Like you said, that woman stroking her hair was disgusting. the brother getting up there saying how he wants the best for her and all this, that, and the other. And can I give? We're the only race of people that forgive people that have been oppressing us for what 400 something years now. It doesn't make sense to me, and it's all because of the indoctrination of Christianity. The preacher back on the plantation, you only got one day off, and you had to go to church to get indoctrinated with all that stuff. And the preacher, he lived a little better than everybody else, which incentivized uh, slaves to go into preaching and stuff like that. That's all I want to say right now.
So Jaru, tell me what you think about in reference to the sentencing of in regards to the 10 years, but really 5 years. What do you think about?
Exactly. If you want to say she's going to get half of what they sentenced her to, they should have sentenced her to maybe 30 years or 25 to 30 years, so she does half of that, long enough to where she gets to sit and think, I really messed up. She should be in her 40s or at least 40 years old when she's coming out. She shouldn't still be really young. I don't know if they said she had kids or not, but I don't think she should be young enough to where she can start a family still and have children. I think she needs to have that taken away from her because women are only prime and fertile. Well, she's about 31, so she got maybe 4 years left. She'll be off. She won't be fertile when she comes out of there. But I just think she should have stayed in prison. She should stay in prison till she's at least my age, 45 years old or so.
Well, as you see, that's not going to happen.
No, she'll be out of there by the time she's about 30. She'll do maybe 5 years, so she'll be 36, 37 coming out of there.
Yeah,
If that, she might do less than that. Because
yeah,
I don't think they're going to keep us up to date with how long she's been in there. Usually, when when someone gets locked up, you don't know when they're sentenced. People really don't know. They assume, but they don't know that she's not going to do all that time. You don't know when she's going to get out. She could get out in 2 years. You never know.
I don't think she's going to do all that time. To be honest with
I
you,
know she's not.
I think
I
this.
really wanted to talk to my dad, who was in law enforcement for 30 years, and he's up on stuff like this all the time. We don't really speak like that. I wonder what his opinion is, what he wants to say about it. Did it really go down the way she's saying it went down? Because a lot of people are saying they had some type of extramarital affair that went wrong. I
Yeah,
don't know
but
if I want to
they
believe nothing
claim.
like, but he
I heard.
definitely was in the white girls though, because his best friend was white. She
I
got up there and
heard
testified.
they debunked that in the trial. I don't know how true that is, but I heard that that was an accusation, but it was debunked. But
But I think they're going to always make that accusation when it's black men and white women. They're going to always make that. But he definitely liked white girls because he had a best friend come up and speak on his behalf.
oh yeah,
That was a white female.
yeah, he was definitely one that like was doing was lived in a very I don't know just white people or just whatever, but he obviously dealt with a lot of different people that didn't look like him. That's obvious.
Right.
That's quite obvious. So what do you think about the people who are when the mother spoke to black people that were outside, and then all of a sudden she want to talk about how we need to change this and we need to change that, and it was corruption.
I don't really see that. That's where I'm at a standstill myself. I don't really know. I guess the only thing I can think of that would incite change is if we got more blacks in law enforcement and in legal, being lawyers and cops and stuff like that, and not being the victim to be sold out. Because I think, like you said, this woman might have been paid to carry out the narrative that they wanted to carry out. I just think you should use your morality when you get there and not let yourself be sold out. That's about the only thing I can think of. Because burning down neighborhoods and stuff like that, we've already known that that's proven not to work. So I can only think of if you can't beat them, join them, but don't sell out when you get there. And
I
my pop
get
was a cop; he wasn't a sellout
but what
at
about
all.
in reference to her tone being different in front of the white folks, but then you
I,
get around black folks, then you want to stand for social justice.
I didn't. I just saw her as far as no justice, no peace. I didn't know that. What did the mother say that was when
She
she
was saying
got with
all
the
kinds
white
of
people?
stuff
What did she?
about it's obvious, she would start saying stuff. It just didn't make sense. How you got to understand talking as if you're basically feeling bad for and sounding empathetic, but then when you're around black people, oh, this was corruption from the DA to the judge to all of this other
Uh,
stuff, and obviously some changes need to happen with the
the
police.
the dude pro black authority. I don't know. I think his name is Jason Black. He said something about the way you can tell a coon is when you put him around a bunch of white people if their narrative changes, and that's obviously what happened. So I don't get that. But I've seen it happen enough times. Niggas get around niggas and say, or black people get around black people say one thing, and then when they get around white people, it's something totally different. They kind of do a soft shoot approach and try to sympathize with them,
And
which is
then
bullshit.
when it come to your own child, you cooning when
Mm,
it comes to your own dead, deceased child. You're not even. No parent wants to bury their own child.
exactly.
And see, this is the thing I want everybody to understand. And it is human to hate. It is human to be angry. And I'm sick and tired of every time a black person shows anger and hate towards something bad happening to him, people want to get upset and don't understand. All of the unfair shit that has happened to us,
Mm.
and in return, we're supposed to be smiling and happy. Or
We've been
use the
we've
Bible.
been taught to be like that. We've
All
been
right, so
taught to be
pass the
like
mic,
that.
please. I mean, damn, I thought somebody was gonna pass the mic at this point.
I'm sorry. Here you go.
All right, so first and foremost, this is very interesting how a lot of the things that I've spoken about on previous lives actually showed itself in this particular instance all at one time. I've said how white people all stick together. Um, the dude Ken basically explained how white people can do a racist act, but even though even the white people who are not committing the racist act will still stick up and defend the white person that is. And I stated that that makes that person just as racist, just as guilty. No disrespect to Israel Bound, but I've addressed his sentiment towards white people and his seemingly loving or hopeful response that not all white people are bad, and I've addressed that. And again, when you address that to a lot of black people, people don't want to hear that. Black people do not want to hear that all white people are bad. And when I say bad, unfortunately, you got to explain to these stupid motherfuckers that what I'm saying is that every white person is for white supremacy, which means that they
Mm.
can never be any good for a black person. And this
Right.
trial basically confirmed it. Um, Now, to the case specifically, what happened is they went in there that where the family fucked up at, right? See, here's what you got to understand. No disrespect, R.I.P. to both of them, but he was a coon. Um,
And that seems to be the sentiment that everybody's saying on that in regards to how he lived his life, and they think the whole family was like that.
yeah, so he was a coon. And the reason why it was so easy, because see, black people want to find a way, especially in corporate America. um I think once a black person gets a certain age, finding a way to make white people innocent outside of corporate America, just in social settings, even when white people do dirty, it becomes habitual. But in corporate America, and every job that a black person holds, especially when it comes to anything in law enforcement or governmental, every black person has done a black civilian dirty so that they can either keep their job or move up. They may not have done them dirty in an extreme way, but they have done them dirty. So I say that to say this. When they portrayed Botham as this white loving, spiritual, not spiritual, religious fanatic, because they literally made him so perfect that it made him seem strange, right? Um, they made him this white loving, Christian guy who was all forgiving. And one thing that the coons in the courthouse did was it made it easier for them to coon out. Because here you have a guy who you just murdered, who you made to all people who would have forgiven this cracker anyway. So they went ahead and just used that against the family. It was like, well, hell, he was a coon anyway, so we just might as well continue cooning on, you know, in this motherfucking case. It wasn't like he was a black person that spoke up for black people. Then it would have really been like, okay, this is fucked up. I mean, it's fucked up now and we can all see it, but it would have been probably a riot. But because you had this Martin Luther King type figure, it made it easy for the black people in the courthouse to continue to show love and to continue with that coon spirit in the courthouse, because it's almost like, well, he would have wanted it anyway, type of thing. So the family fucked up with that. Another thing is, like I said, I'm from Miami, and one thing that I know about these Caribbean people is that they love them some motherfucking white folks. These Caribbeans and these Africans, they love white people. And
Wow.
clearly it showed in this situation here. Um, what the mother, I think part of the reason why she spoke out after the trial, this is just my opinion on this particular instance, um, is that she was in such a state of shock at how everything was going. You know what I mean? And she was trying to portray this wholesome image for her son, not realizing that, again, niggas in corporate America are always trying to find a way to defend the white person so they can keep their job, move up, or not get fucked up themselves. This is how deep white supremacy is. Those motherfucking niggas in that courthouse were scared. That's really what the fuck it was. They were literally afraid, like on a fucking plantation, that they were going to get reprimanded. And so they had to show this white bitch some love in order for them to survive. So survive in that system that they're in, because it's a dirty game and it's not for black people. So you have black people and holding white supremacist views. There is no fucking such thing as black people joining the police system and the police force and being for black people. There's no fucking way that you can join in their system, which was basically a slave catcher system. That's exactly
Right.
what the police force was, and think
Right.
that this person or any black person is for black people. I don't give a fuck if they're your family. I don't give a fuck how cool they try to act like they are with you individually. Them motherfuckers is laughing at every joke them racist ass crackers saying that motherfucker. They're disrespecting black people. They make sure that they treat black people as though they're not even fucking,
Second class citizens.
human, damn near, in order for white people to give them that accolade and that pat on the back. And so going back to why the mother did what she did, I think that again she was just taken aback by how it happened. And then when it all settled in and she was able to get out of that environment, because I think she was extremely uncomfortable, that's when she went ahead and spoke more openly. However, spoke more openly about her disgust as far as the injustice. However, what she did first was who she is. That's what people got to understand. When a motherfucker show you who they are, believe them. And so her being this she was trying to portray this strong
She
motherfucking
shielded
image.
herself to make a long story. Just be who you are.
She
And
was trying to portray this motherfucking strong image of this. She should have fucking
strong
bawled out and
women.
cried. You get what I'm saying? This
Yeah.
Amber Guyger chick committed the fucking murder, and this bitch was crying. And you mean to tell me you trying to uphold this strong image? Bitch, shed some motherfucking tears in that motherfucker. So the bottom line is that she showed herself for who she really was in that courtroom. And she realized that you a nigga. Your son is a nigger. Your son is viewed as 3/5 of a person. So this is a reality check for you motherfuckers who come across this water and think these white people are gonna love you if you just tiptoe around them motherfuckers. It didn't work like that. That shit backfired. Now, on a spiritual sense, because I am an Israelite, on a spiritual sense, this is how what I believe actually happened on a basis where the majority can't see. So I believe that he was confronted with the truth of who we were as black people. I believe that he did not want to accept it because he was comfortable with white acceptance, because he understands, just like everybody black here understands, that white people dominate the system, not the world, but the system. And so being that he was accepted in that community, even though he may have been aware that some of the things that they were saying was not right, he wanted to go along with it. He was also an accountant at 26, so he was used to the chucking and jiving game. He was used to being a cool nigga. And not to deviate from the topic, but Ja Rule said that he liked white women. As a matter of fact, I don't even think he probably wasn't even a heterosexual, because first of all, people don't like heterosexual black men. Furthermore, like that's just a reality. So he probably
Well,
more than likely, in
that's
order
all
to be,
speculation.
yeah, that's speculation. So, but anyways, what I am saying is that I believe that he was confronted with the truth of who he was and ignored it, and ignored, the real understanding of the Bible. And the same people that he upheld and worshiped ended up, God allowing, took his ass out. Because some of these black folks that have been taken out by police have shown themselves to be very disconnected. These black people have been very disconnected from the black community and have expressed it. It's just that we haven't seen him actually express it. We haven't heard it, but I mean, you can tell by his circle how he really felt. Stephon Clark, who was dating this Filipino or Chinese bitch or whatever, he didn't like dark skinned women. He didn't like black women. And he got took out by the motherfucking cracker cops. The black girl who was in love with the fucking white cop and said blue lives matter and basically to hell with black lives, the bitch got took out by the same fucking cracker cop. So I mean, they're not all black people who get killed by white people. It's due to a karma, so to speak. But I believe that
That
his
seems to be
situation
a
was
history of them having a lifestyle that's dealing with other people outside of themselves.
that's not conducive to blackness in any way, shape, or
Exactly.
form. As a matter of
Yeah.
fact, it's very hateful towards blackness, and it's very ironic how the same people who they so love, right,
Kill them.
kill they motherfucking ass. And in the middle of the trial, I'm not gonna lie, like I was like, dang, this is messed up. But um the day before the decision was supposed to be made and I started watching it because I really didn't give a fuck about the whole situation, to be honest with you, in the sense that I knew it was gonna be some bullshit. But the day before, after I watched, or the day before the actual sentencing, but the day when they charged her, I watched it or whatever. And it was like, for some reason, something within me was like, you know what? There's no reason to really feel some type of way because, to be honest, the family kind of set themselves up to be in a situation like this. And what I mean by, again, you have to be very careful who you praise when you're talking about praising white supremacy, because white people don't love black people. There's no white person that loves black people. So when you start professing your love for these white folks, I don't give a fuck if you wrote it down on a Facebook post, if you didn't verbally express it to where people could see it. These fucking people hate blacks, and their karma comes back on them, and that's just what I see what happened to him. R.I.P. though. You know what I'm saying? It's fucked up. Any black person has to go through that, but the family just got a reality check. Know your fucking
Yeah,
place and stop dealing with
they
these
got
crackers
the
thinking
black
that you
immigrant
supposed.
Negro card. That's what they got. Just
Absolutely. All of that, we need to be friendly with these people type shit. Like, how much friendliness and biblical fucking Christianity things can you keep reading to like black people are fucking act like they're fucking crazy, my nigga. Like the body is no longer in chains, but the mind is. Like, you have black people amongst each other not really comfortable with being abrasive with saying fuck these white folks. They fucked up.
yeah, I agree. So I want to say, I want to give a shout out to Mika B. She basically brought up about, you know, she didn't feel that the family showed enough emotions, and then she stated she understands that everybody grieves differently. So I want to touch on that a little bit. Yes, I mean I deal with people with grief all the time. Everybody does uh, grieve uh, uh, differently. However, under these particular circumstances, I have never seen a situation in which they son been dead for what, a year? How long he's been dead?
Yeah, it's been a year.
Okay, that son has been dead for a year, and you're putting on this facade as if you have grieved effectively in 1 year and you have kind of moved on and made right with God in regards to.
Can I say something though?
Hold on. Let me finish. Um, you're trying to portray like you have done this. I have counseled people that dealt with grief and dying, and it takes years for people to come to grips with their child dying or some other family member. And there's no way in hell, and I'm speaking as a therapist, that you can accomplish that with all of the. Matter of fact, it took at least, looking at it from a realistic standpoint, it took them at least 3 to 4 months to even grieve because of so much of the press that came out of this. People interviewing you, talking to you all the time. You can't go nowhere. People questioning you. You got news reporters, all these different people coming to you, questioning you. You got Benjamin Trump, Crump, whatever his name is, coming from Florida, and all these other different people giving you all this attention. It took at least 3 to 4 months for it to even settle in, for you to even begin to like, okay, people are leaving me alone. I need to be by myself. I need to work on me, work on the fact that my son is no longer here. and then you sit up there and act like you kind of alluded to being strong and trying to not express yourself in a sense and trying to put on this thing of forgiveness and all this religious shit that everybody talking about and this and that. I mean, I'm sick of it. But go ahead.
What I wanted to say in regards to the grieving differently thing, one of the reasons why Black people don't grieve is because consciously they understand that a lot of Black people understand it, and white people actually make you feel guilty for grieving, and Black people that work in corporate sectors make you feel guilty. As a matter of fact, Black people who cry and grieve, you get penalized for that. As a matter of fact, a lot of the times motherfuckers will try to call you crazy for showing those types of emotions. So her trying to hold it together was her trying to appear sane, while the white bitch could cry and do all of these types of things, and people look at that as a way of or almost as simple, they look at that as a person, a human that's expressing emotion, as opposed to an erratic person. And a lot of Black people are viewed as erratic when they express grief and emotions and tears and they cry. Like nobody, people, even Black people don't take them serious. And in regards to what Mika B said in regards to the about the Black folks fight in America, a lot of the immigrants don't get involved because they fear deportation. I don't know if they fear deportation per
Nah,
se, but
they
what I,
just don't want to fuck with us. That's how I
right,
look at it.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm not saying that they fear deportation, but what I do know is that Black folks that come from across the water do get a better benefit in this system over Black people in America, because Black people, and I said this on one of your previous lives, is because Black Americans cannot get deported anywhere. So therefore, white people will give loans and jobs to white or to Black immigrants, because they know that those Black immigrants know they can be deported back.
Yeah.
And so in a sense, yes, they do have in the back of their mind that they can be deported. And also there's just the self-hatred where they've also been ingrained and indoctrinated to dislike us. But again, Black Americans are not given a lot of these resources the same as any other race, or even Black Caribbeans and Black Africans, because we don't have a homeland to go. They can't deport us back anywhere. So if we build, we're building on in their system.
Okay, I agree. So, Jairus,
Yeah.
so tell me what do you think in regards to that? In regards to these Black immigrants, that have this type of perspective. I mean, I know you're in
Ho-
Delaware and so forth. What's your experience in regards to dealing with immigrants in that area and how they act and so forth?
hold on for a minute. I could barely hear you. What'd you say? What do I feel about the immigrants and what?
In regards to the immigrants in the area where you're from, in regards to their attitudes towards Black Americans.
Well, they basically want to say that they don't understand that there's a racial hierarchy in this country, and if you're from Negro descent, it doesn't matter if you're from the Caribbean or from Ghana or like from Alabama. They see us as one Negro. When it comes down to it, we're all in the same boat as far as being at the very bottom rung of the racial hierarchy. But immigrants often see, like Didi was saying, they love the fact that they're not completely African American, and I don't know what they think that that's closer to white people because they're not African Americans, or they want to separate themselves from us. They think they're better than us, and that's a big problem that we have with them. They don't see that we're all in the same we're all just one big Negro to these white people. That's what we're always going to be. It doesn't matter who you associate with, uh, who you choose as a partner. Like I think a lot of blacks think that if they choose a white person as a partner, they'll get accepted by these white people. They have to think that.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have to.
The closer I am to them, the more acceptance I get. When actually,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
okay,
yeah. If I run with them in their circle, and I go to their events, and hang out at places where they hang out at. Even if I'm the token black, I'm still more accepted than that black guy that doesn't come around them. When it's really not the case, you're just closer for them to know who you are and what you're about, and for them to play into your mind and stuff like that, and make you actually think that maybe you are accepted by them. But at the end of the day, you get your nigger wake up call, like Stacy Dash got her nigger wake up call She tried to call the police on her white husband, and she ended up going to jail.
And then you all know that I heard the kids also tried to fight her, and she the one that went end up going to jail, and she couldn't even afford a lawyer.
Yeah, she's broke. 52 years old, past her prime. She attaches to this beta male that's going to take care of her. And she's trying to get at his resources too at the end of the day because she don't have none.
It's crazy. What do you think about that, Diddy?
With the Stacey Dash
Yeah.
situation, I mean, she's a coon. There's really not much to think about her. Her shit is already out there. There's no really digging. I mean, she told her story. I mean, she's, but what I wanted to ask you, D. Darrell, you said that you wanted to leave Texas. You're leaving Texas,
No, 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 no. I'm leaving Dallas.
Dallas. Okay.
I
Yeah,
thought you were in
you
Houston.
brought that up. Let me kind of make a note of that for
You're
those.
not in Houston?
Yeah, I am in Houston, but I have an office in Dallas too.
How far are they apart? About 3 hour drive?
Yeah, about 3.5 hours.
Okay. Okay.
So basically, man, and there's some history behind that. Number one, you remember the gunman that shot up those policemen in Dallas?
Yeah, somebody was talking about that
Yeah.
today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I talked about that briefly. The guy actually, at the time when he did that, I had an office. He actually is from a town called Mesquite, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. He actually stayed approximately 1 mile from the location I was at. This is I actually passed by the neighborhood to go that he lived in. I passed by that neighborhood every time I went to Dallas to go to my location there. I moved closer to the Galleria on the northern side of just north of downtown about 2 years ago. But in during the time that that happened with this guy, they I was actually requested by the police department. I don't know how they found me, but they called me from Houston and wanted me to go there for 2 weeks to provide grief counseling to the police, to the quote unquote victims in the police, the victims of the guys who got killed, the wives, the family, and all that stuff. They wanted me to do multicultural counseling and cultural sensitivity counseling and grief counseling to the loved ones and everybody in the within that wanted to sit in for the groups and individual therapy. They basically, I turned down a very lucrative contract for 2 weeks, and I did, along with myself, two other therapists that I had in Dallas, would go there for basically for 40 hours every week from 8 to 5, counseling these people. And they had everything lined up for me, and I turned it down. I
What are
turned
some of the
it down.
racial discriminatory? What are some of the racially discriminatory things that you faced in Texas as a black man?
Yeah, let me. I'm gonna get to that, but I want to. But basically, they basically try to use and see. This is something that they do in different situations because there's some other stories that I have yet to talk about in regards to how people try to use therapists when they're in racial situations. Because I've dealt with quite a few of them. In this particular situation with the police department, when that guy, I think he killed like 4 or 5 policemen, so to speak, they wanted to use a black therapist to show that they're not racist and to show that the families or the policemen can't couldn't have been racist towards the community, so to speak. Because look, they're being counseled or they're getting therapy from a black therapist in a sense. And so what they'll do, let's just say I decide to take that contract. What they would have done, and I've seen this happen to other people, the minute I would have walked in that area and I would have gotten to the doors, some news reporter or somebody would have came up and said, "Hi, so and so, you're blah blah blah. Could you ask some questions about you preparing for seeing the cops and seeing the families of the loved ones and what do you think about this and how did they take this and you being an African American counselor and they're accepting of you to counsel them and help them through this disturbing time in their life and you doing this." They would have made a spectacle of that. And then they would have used me as a prompt as to show how racist they want us to believe they're not. And so I made a conscious decision not to do it because I wasn't going to allow myself to deal with that. And also in the midst of that, A lot of times when you're dealing with very intense situations where somebody died, and particularly if it's racially motivated, somebody would have slipped up and said some racially insensitive shit to me, and I wasn't gonna take the shit. I'm not about to lose my license behind me going off on somebody for being racially insensitive to me. Because I'm not the type to just gonna take that and be like, I'm just gonna excuse that and move on. No, I'm not doing that. That's not gonna happen. So I'm not. I felt that it was in the best interest of me not to put myself in that position. And the money they offered, I mean, again, it was a lot of money, but they did that because they thought I wasn't gonna refuse it. But I refused it because and then now you're talking about discrimination. Let's talk about me being discriminatory as a therapist. I have I've had workers, believe this or not, people that I've paid tried to disrespect me because I'm a black business owner, or tried to show a lack of respect for me because I'm a black owner, as if I don't have high standards for my business or even more than any white counterpart that they work for. You got to understand, they're not white people do not like taking orders and taking directives from black people. They hate it. A lot of white people sit there and smile in your face and act like whatever they like the place and all that kind of stuff, and in the background they're trying to take your business down. I've had to deal with that. Now, when I first started, I had two other partners. I didn't take over the business and do the buyout stuff that I had to do in 2012. I had to pay a substantial amount of money to buy them out the partnership and own the business outright. I literally had a intern that was actually supervised by a partner of mine. He was white, who who actually tried to undermine my authority within my own company. This has happened several times. Every time they had an issue, they would bypass me and go to my partner as if my authority was not respected, that it wasn't important. And each time that they did that, I had to basically summon each one of them to my office and talk to them and have a conversation. Matter of fact, we he hired, so at the time, because we had a partnership. You don't have total control or whatever, so you have to allow. You can't do everything in a partnership. You have to delegate. We handle this, I handle that, and so what? So he ended up he was responsible for hiring therapists. He hired four white therapists to work at our company at that time. This was back in 2010, no, 2009 to 2011. I had to literally, and I kid you not, I had to literally have a meeting on a Saturday with each and every last one of them to let them know who was really in charge and what my role is and what would happen if you try to undermine my authority again. So I have dealt with that not just in a private practice perspective, but also even as a business owner, I had to deal with people that I paid to do work, trying to basically use white privilege in a black company. And I wasn't shy about firing their ass, and I did. And it is what it is. Texas is a right to work state. I can fire whoever I want and don't have to give any explanation. I can just fire you just because, and it's legally justified. So
Okay.
that's part of what I've had to deal with, and there's other things too. Some stuff I can't talk about, but I had one other situation where I even had a white supremacist try to use me, an undercover white supremacist tried to use me for his case in court to sue an Alcorn. But I didn't learn that he was a white supremacist until I went and did the what do they call it? They had like a preliminary hearing in which I spoke to his lawyer and the lawyer that was trying to go against him with the company. And then I found out from the lawyer that represented the company that this man been on Facebook and Twitter with a undercover white supremacist group saying all kinds of stuff about black people and everybody else, gang symbols and all. And this man, I counseled this guy for 6 months. They showed me symbols and what it meant and all this different stuff. This guy tried to utilize me to prove to the court system he wasn't racist. And I didn't find that out until court. And I always wondered why, when we had the proceedings, I asked him, why are you not going to be there? If we're going to do this, and they had the proceeding at my office, it was on videotape so that they can show this to the court as they questioned me for 3.5 hours. Okay?
Wow.
Questioned me for 3.5 hours. And not till the final 30 minutes of that goddamn interview that they showed me 30 minutes of shit, a big thick ass book of pictures, paraphernalia that he had, all kind of shit that he did, talking about black people like a dog on Facebook, Twitter, and you name it. So that's the scratching the surface. But yes, I have dealt with stuff like that on a high level. Yes. So I see Sher coming in. How you doing, Sher?
Hey, what's up, Didero?
What's going on?
Mm.
Tell me what's going on. What are you thinking?
I don't know. I just had to hop into this conversation. I just had to say my piece because, what I'm saying, I'm really shocked. What I'm saying? I don't know how other people feel about it, but it seemed like the community is pretty outraged with the outcome of things. Like I told somebody earlier today, I forget, but I was like, I knew, like, you ever see one of them mob movies where they got an enemy, right? And they want to, like, so-called send a message, so they send a finger of a loved one, or they do some crazy shit to the other side to so-called send a message. Like, I don't know why, but an instance like that picture, or mirage, whatever you call it, like that picture popped into my head when
Okay.
I seen this case. The first message to our community was the chick that killed her own baby. I don't know if everybody heard about that, but it was a chick that killed her own baby, and she didn't serve not one day in jail. And I think she was also found not guilty. And everybody's just sitting here scratching their head like, I mean, isn't that still murder? You got different states talking about abortion laws and how that's murder and all of this and that. You mean to tell me a woman could have a whole entire child and just like that's not even against the law? That's not even jail worthy, but she got off first. And out of all the cases that I've like seen throughout this year in different states, big cases and big crazy things going on, to me that was one of the scariest because it's like it says that you can get away with murder only in certain instances.
Okay. And so
In
you're
certain
relating
instances,
that to white people getting away with murder for killing black people.
yeah, I'm relating it. Well, no, like I said, that was just my first clue that some shit was up. Then this happens, and like everybody's saying, it's looking like it may be 5 years, and when the time actually get to passing, it may actually be less than that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
State of
that
Texas.
was like the message sent. That's like sending somebody finger in an envelope. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the message sent. Like the message is, we do what the fuck we want, and y'all do what the fuck we say, and you know, like it doesn't get much clearer than that. You mean to tell me you could kill a whole person, and if you're the right color, you could do less than 10 years? Like what?
Yeah.
And like somebody brought up the fact that there was a mother, that a black mother that had put the wrong address to send her child to school in a better
Yes. Got like
district,
5 years.
and they gave that, huh?
They gave it like 5 years, huh?
Yes. And I'm like, really? So like you see what I'm saying? Like to me that's like a little bit of a message there. Like, what are they trying to say? What are they trying to prove? And I guess that's what you would call supremacy, white supremacy, but to me it's just shocking. It just got me kind of like in an awe state. Like I'm damn near speechless. You know what I mean? But I I
Yeah,
just I
I hear what you're saying.
just
I hear what you're
you know.
saying. I mean, I was actually, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have been surprised if she would have been found not guilty because they have had a precedence of doing that. But the fact that you find her guilty of murder, I've never heard of a person being found guilty of murder and serving 10 years. First degree murder, and you
That
only
was a slap in the
Yeah,
face.
yeah. Let me. Can I ask you, first degree murder? Don't you think in that where in order to get that charge justified, they got to say that she premeditated that. That wasn't premeditative, in my opinion, because she, according to her story, she just walked up on him.
well, okay,
She
well,
didn't premeditate to murder him.
I'm gonna
Hmm?
retract that. I don't know whether or not it was first degree murder because
It
they
was. It was. It was.
was.
It was, but I don't think under the statutes of and torts of law that it doesn't apply. I think it may be second degree or manslaughter, but more like second degree. I don't think it justifies first degree murder because she wasn't planning on doing it,
But she still didn't get, regardless of what you mean to tell me, the situation was 5 to 99 years,
and they gonna give her 10.
and they give
Right, right.
the prosecutor requested 28 years, and you give her you give her 10 years, 5 years you're eligible for parole,
And then on
Prosecutor
top
was
of
black,
that,
wasn't she?
huh?
Was the prosecutor black?
Yes, black lady.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
crazy. Then on top of that, hug her. Again, I gotta reiterate that. Hug her, stroke her
Mm,
hair, give her
mm,
a Bible, read a scripture to this bitch. Like she was the one who lost somebody. Like that's crazy to me. But this is
right.
how black people operate in this system.
I've never seen in my life, and I've been to court many times.
That's
I have been to court over my um 18 years in this, because I go to court a lot. I go to family court, and I've been to criminal court because I have testified in cases where people had, for domestic violence, attempted murder, assault, where people have psychological issues and so forth. And I've seen people get sentenced to jail and everything. I've never seen a judge get out of that damn seat to go hug the convicted person. Matter of fact, I've never seen a judge hug the family of the victim.
Mm,
But really what they were saying when they did all of that was that they really didn't want to do that. That's ultimately what they were saying.
What do you mean they
They
didn't want to
didn't
what?
do
want to
They
do it.
didn't want to
what
convict her?
They
wait,
didn't
wait,
want to
hold on,
convict her.
stop,
Mm.
stop, stop, stop. Wait. Who said they didn't really want to do that?
I'm saying by the actions of them hugging her, stroking her hair, it was them ultimately letting it be known that they did not want to convict her.
Convict. Oh, okay. You mean convict her? Okay,
They didn't want to convict her of
okay.
murder. They didn't want to sentence her. They were
Right. They
basically
wanted to let her go.
right. They were basically letting it be known that because of how it was and how it happened, we had to do something, but we're
Right.
still on your side.
Okay. Now
And
let
they
me.
publicly had
but
they
Go
did
ahead.
it as a slap in the face.
but you
Zarul, you
but
okay?
you know what,
Huh?
Didera, you had brought up in one of your videos earlier talking about like some lady had lost her job behind this stuff, a black lady
She did what?
that she lost her whole business, can't work in
Yes.
Texas or
I don't
something.
know if y'all are aware of this. I'm going to do another video probably tomorrow on this particular situation. The lady was interviewed. That was a lady that got blackballed that actually provided the tape. She actually got blackballed from working in the state of Texas. She was the person that had the video that actually got Amber Guyger convicted. And basically what she did was she didn't even go by her real name. She was actually interviewed by Phil of the Advice Show. He got changed the name in his show to African Diaspora Channel or something like that. I
Right.
like how to definitely check that out. She went by the name of Bunny. And so I'm just going to say her name as being Bunny. But what ended up happening, Bunny lived in the same apartment complex and said that when she was interviewed and she said for about a good 6 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks, they interviewed her every day. It was a different law enforcement person interviewing her every day for about a good 4 to 6 weeks, trying to get her to change her story.
That's crazy.
Then hold on, let me also make light of this. They didn't even want to take the tape that she used. They basically was trying to question her on whether or not, what did you do this, or what about if this was at this, it was something when she said they tried to make her feel like she was taping something else, not necessarily Amber Guyger going into this place. And what the tape showed was that Amber Guyger knew what she was going into. She knew that she went into the wrong. I'm gonna say this. She knew that that place, the way the tape showed Amber Geiger going into that place, she knew that that wasn't her apartment. That's the way the tape presented. Okay. The next thing it showed was that um Amber Geiger, before she went into the before she went into the home, she had her gun out pacing back and forth for about 5 minutes before she even went into the place. She didn't just go in there and storm in and who's in my place. No, she was pacing before she even opened the kicked the door in or whatever to go into the place.
What?
Yes, that's what I'm
I
saying.
seen some shit like that. I seen some shit like
So
that.
she paced for about 5 minutes before she even went into the place.
Wow. So it was clearly intentional. I mean, we
Exactly.
already know that, but it was clearly intentional.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the
But now
video shows it's intentional.
let me finish the story because it get worse. It gets worse. The lady said that she had the state government, she had the Texas Rangers, and she even had the FBI. This wasn't even a Fed case. She had the FBI come there. Would not
Damn.
give the FBI interviewed and basically, well, to me, interviewed her against her will and would not give her a card nor give them their name.
That's
Mm.
fucking. Now, what was the punishment had she not went ahead and interviewed with them?
The punishment was the people and other white supremacists found out who she was, right? And because she would not comply with local media and because see, everybody wanted to interview her. That's why I was saying his family was bombarded with a lot of stuff because this woman was bombarded. Fox News, CBS, ABC, all the major networks wanted to interview her, but they didn't want her to tell the truth. They wanted her to produce film or produce content to say as if Amber was not wrong with what she did. They wanted her to be on. They wanted her to not necessarily say that Amber was a murderer, but she was a good lady and she was this and that, and I would see her all the time, and they wanted to allude that Amber was not a bad person. They wanted her to be her,
Wow.
and she refused to do so. Matter of fact, she did one interview. She wouldn't say the network. The network. She told them, "I'll do the interview, but the only way I'm going to agree to do this interview is if I have to look at the tape and approve it before you do it. If I don't give you consent to do it, I'm not. Whatever you're going to have to not do the thing, or I'm gonna sue you."
So this
She did.
bitch went. Mhm.
Hold on, let me finish. She did the interview, right? When she did the interview, they doctored and edited the video. She declined to show it because it made it appear as if she was on Amber Geiger's side. Once she did that and everybody else learned that she wasn't going to cooperate, they started calling her job because she worked at a pharmacy company, and the pharmacy company gave her her certification to work at her job. The pharmacy company, because she wouldn't cooperate and everybody was calling and harassing the company, they fired her, took away her certification. So now she can't even work in the state of Texas.
Wow.
And then she had an Instagram business selling t-shirts. Instagram shut her down. Facebook
Get the fuck out.
Facebook shut her ass down. This woman right now is struggling right now financially. Uh, living, kind of basically can't find a job, living off her
And
family
these
bill
stupid niggas
because of
still think
Facebook.
they know.
She's trying to sue these people. She's trying to
Stupid
sue Facebook, and
niggas.
to sue she's trying to sue the pharmaceutical company or whatever that won't allow her to work that because they actually gave her the certification when she got hired. So she had to do training to get it. But she was trying to fight to keep her certification. She could go work somewhere else. But they took the whole thing and tried to blacklist her from working for any other company in the state of Texas on account of trying to keep the truth.
And you still got black people, like I said, that think it's good white people in the world. You
Exactly.
Mm,
still got black people that will tell you that no, I have a good white friend, or I had a good white teacher. And these stupid motherfuckers don't understand that as soon as something pop off, that good white friend and that good
They
white
run in
teacher gonna
code.
leave your motherfucking ass in the dust.
They
mm.
stay in code every time.
That shit is crazy, especially when shit gets.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man, I was so appalled at watching this show. This person has never been interviewed by any major. She's like the person that notice nobody ever talk about the tape.
Let me ask you a question, D. Darrell.
Yeah,
Being that you were so vocal about how you feel about white supremacy, because that's ultimately what it is, and you are not swayed by it to an extent, do you fear that they could fuck with your profession?
yeah, they could.
And you clearly have coons that are trying to find ways to get you fucked over, right?
So what I'm supposed to do? Stop being a man?
No, but that's what I'm saying.
I
So
think I,
I'm not gonna stop being a man because of that. No,
that's the stuff that was happening with Rev and them, but I ain't finna get on that.
I mean I'm still gonna speak the truth regardless. I
absolutely.
mean, what I'm supposed to do? I'm supposed to be afraid. I'm not gonna live in fear of that. If I can't be truthful and speak on stuff, what's the point of being a man?
Right.
Really? I mean, people gonna do whatever. I mean, I see what you don't understand. I've been through worse that I don't even talk about. See, this little stuff with the Bengalis, this is nothing compared to other stuff that I've been through. I don't even talk about. I've been sued before for thousands and thousands of dollars from other people saying all kind of shit. I've had stuff that been called. I've been called on by the board by all kind of people that don't look like me. This is not the first time it happened, and I beat every last one of them. So I'm no, I'm not in fear.
No, and you shouldn't be.
No, I'm
Um,
not. I mean,
so what I was asking you
I,
before,
I've been investigated before. I've been, people had a complaint and all this kind of stuff because that comes that comes with the that comes with being a business owner, particularly being a black business owner. Okay,
what I was
that comes
asking
with
you
the territory.
Could I chime in?
Yeah, go
Could
ahead.
I chime in?
Go ahead.
Nah, because I was bringing up the situation with the lady with the video that was like forced to not work in Texas and stuff. I
Yeah,
was bringing that up because now everybody's seen this unfair like sentencing, or just say unjust. It wasn't justice at all. Everybody kind of seen this with their own two eyes. Everybody knows 5 to 10 years is not what you give a person. I don't care if this is your first day being a freaking judge, which all judges start off as lawyers, have to pass bar exams and be voted into being a judge. So obviously she's really skilled at this, to say the least, right? Saying all that to say, it's like if this lady's arm was twisted this much over just having footage, right? You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like maybe it's not so fixed,
But it was
huh?
damaging footage, very damaging.
That too, but I'm just saying, just her being somebody that could make this case not go the way it went. This could have been a lot worse for Amber Guyger. We all know that. So just saying that to say, like, if this lady's arm was twisted this much over just being a person that had some damaging footage on a videotape, and the judge is the person that gets to say how long she actually does time for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's like video footage of the judge like swinging her arms and looking
Well,
pissed. Like, the only time I see a
the
black woman,
jury did.
the only time I see a black woman swinging her arms like that is when somebody finna get knocked out or she's really fed up with some shit, you know. And like, yeah, this is a tough case. It's getting a lot of media attention, but for her to do all of that and then not come to the mic and say, okay, 99 years, that to me doesn't say that that person didn't want to convict her. That to me says that that judge's arm was twisted, because
right?
that's what I'm saying. Like, if you do all of that, like, oh, I gotta convict this person, and you're swinging your arms, and you're upset, and you're breathing your nostrils, and you're trying to give the girl a Bible, and this and that and the third. If you're doing all of that, and you step up there and say, "I'm sorry, I gotta give you 99, bitch." If you do that, that's different. But when she came up there and said 5 years, fuck this. Like, it's like somebody making her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
they did that to that girl in Texas. That's just how I see it. Like I might be the only one that see this shit, but that's what I see.
Yeah, no, I see it that way too. Like when she was upset, it was almost like she knew it was gonna be some bullshit, so she was frustrated. But what I was asking you
Part of
earlier,
the bullshit. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
what I was asking you earlier, like 30 minutes ago, was not so much about what your racist experiences were on your job. I was asking you as because you're a black man, what have you experienced a lot of racism in the state of Texas?
From other people, just period.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of the
Texas
racism that
racist as fuck.
yeah, the Texas racist as hell. But most of the racism that I have experienced was not in social situations because I don't be around white people on so in a sense. Even though most of my I'm going to say this, most of my racial issues have come uh, in workplace and professional settings. As far as socially going out, like say I'm going out to a bar or something, or like out in a grocery store or something like that. I have had some things here and there where people said some trying to say shit with racial overtones, and I had to check them and stuff like that. Like say for instance, I had a situation, but damn, I can't even say that one because that was actually work too. But I had a couple of situations where uh, some people tried to say some slick, underhanded stuff that had racial undertones, and I had to check them and correct them on that. Trying to say stereotypical shit and trying to make jokes and stuff like that. But but mostly, I'm going to say most of the experiences I've had have mostly been in the workplace, professional setting, and business setting, not necessarily in a social setting. From my experience in the state of Texas, yeah.
I can't hear.
Anybody else? But Texas is racist as fuck. Texas is racist, just like any other
Yeah,
state.
I don't see how any black person would just willingly want to go and move to Texas unless they needed to stay in like Killeen, Texas, because they really ain't have, money and they didn't want to, for whatever reason, they didn't want to move to Atlanta or North Carolina or some shit. And I know that Killeen, Texas is predominantly black and it's a lot cheap. It's kind of cheap out there.
Killeen, Texas.
Yeah.
Um, I mean it's okay, but Texas. The thing about Texas, um, Texas has a lot of economic opportunities. It's a lot. This is the richest state in the union, and even when we've had recessions, Texas didn't have a recession. There's a lot, and particularly if you're in the medical industries and you're in oil and gas and technology, this is probably one of the better states to be in. The problem is, again, is that Texas has a very, to me, I thought Texas had a larger black population by percentage, and it don't. It has actually a very kind of a low, and particularly with the with all these immigrants and different stuff coming in, it gets lesser and lesser by the year. And so you starting to see like say for instance when I first moved here from Louisiana, which was Louisiana has a higher percentage of black people. It has almost 30%. So when you go from a state that has almost 30% African American, then you come to Texas that probably got like 9-10%. That's a big difference. You know, it's a big difference, and the experience is different. I mean, I've encountered stuff where you got Hispanic kids calling themselves nigger and calling black people nigger, and they okay with it. I've never that was a culture shock to me. And I'm when I first moved here, I'm asking black people that live in the hood, why are y'all allowing Hispanic people to call y'all nigger? You know what I'm saying? And then when you ask the Hispanic person, they saying, well, we that's who we learned it from, and so that's who we grew up and hanging around with, so they just allowed us to say it. That was culture
Bottom
shock to me.
bottom line, like how I see it is just
You know,
any anytime a black person works in, like I said, law enforcement or any real government agency type position where they are under a white corporation, I don't give a fuck how high up in those positions you think you are or how high up in those positions that black civilians think those black people are. Those black people are never working in the best interest of black people.
No.
They're there to fuck black people over way worse than what the fuck you think. One thing I would say, and I know this for a fact, there's no black person placed in these positions to actually be there to be a benefit to anybody black. They're never there to be a benefit to any black person ever. If anything, they ass is either there to find a way to get rid of niggas in some kind of way, or to fuck over black people by, being overly friendly to black people just to see what another motherfucker's thinking, saying, or feeling, and then try to find a way to fuck those people over. Like, there has never been a black person in corporate America that has been trustworthy. And if they were trustworthy and just a righteous person, because you can't be righteous around white people. If they
Because
were a righteous person, the motherfuckers didn't have a job for too long.
and they follow the dollar, and they follow the person that give them the dollar. They sell their soul to corporate America, and they sell out their own people. That's just been the constant thing that you're seeing. You know, you get to the point where these people change. These people change into something totally white. It's like
Absolutely.
the higher they get, the whiter and whiter they become, and then they disconnect themselves, and then they start saying this shit, start repeating white supremacist talking points. You can pull yourself from the bootstrap. If I can do it, you can do
Right.
it. And I have white friends. They love me and all this kind of bull BS. And they try to sell it to people they deem as being less successful and shit. And it's not just the corporate. I'm talking about the entertainers, the athletes. They the same way. They do the same BS. You know,
Yeah,
talking
and you remember.
about this American dream bullshit, and expect black people to listen to that and chase it. And as long as you chase an American dream, you're gonna be slave to the American dream.
Right. And you remember how I was telling you that they always have specific looking black women placed in these higher up positions? It's either they're dark skinned, heavy set, they may have glasses, or they're dark skinned, heavy set, and are middle aged. And the judge was a dark skinned black woman. I mean, she may not have been dark as some, but she was still a dark skinned black woman. The lady
Right.
who was rubbing her hair was a dark skinned black woman, heavy
Black
set,
woman,
middle
heavy set.
aged. And they always, because let me tell you, those women.
Even the wasn't the prosecutor. She was heavy set too,
Yeah, the prosecutor was black, was dark, was kind of dark brown.
and heavy
Right.
set.
Uh, I guess kind of not. She wasn't thin, but I wouldn't say
By
she was
yeah,
thin.
by European standards, definitely heavy set.
Yeah, by European standards, you could say. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they always put these types of women in positions of authority over black lives, and a lot of the times these women have been so beaten down because of white supremacy by the black community and black people who hold white supremacist views, that when they do get this confirmation of success, and I guess a form of leverage by white people, they take it and they run with it. I mean, when you see a whole bunch of black women in a fucking courtroom, and this is sad to say, as a black person, be scared. In this motherfucking system, be motherfucking scared unless you're gonna have a black person that is extremely fair, extremely honest, and don't give a fuck about trying to move up. But when you're dealing with black people in the corporate sector who are placed in any type of position where you need help and you need justice of something that was unjustifiably done to you, especially if it was racially motivated, they'll use a black person, but that motherfucker is not going to be there to benefit you. They're going to be there to basically commit a racist act for a white person so that you don't
I
get
wanted to say something.
that you deserve.
Go ahead.
I just feel like I see here in the comments, like I'm not jumping on her back or anything, but Mika B was like, she was the judge in the situation with Guyger. She was like the judge was backed by the police department of Dallas, and that's what I'm saying. Like Guyger was one of these people. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? That's what the point that we be trying to make about a system. Like they're down. Whoever the whistleblower was or whoever the shot caller was on this situation said from Jump Street, Geiger's getting off with this. So
But that's
whatever, whoever,
bullshit.
however many people for 4 to 6 weeks of interrogation, and y'all still ain't got the story. You know what I mean? Like whoever
Nah,
the
it had nothing.
whistleblower said, they said.
It was because she was white. It had nothing to do with because she was a police officer. Because the Ethiopian Somalian police officer, the black dude who shot the white lady because he was afraid for his life, that motherfucker got 25 to life.
Mm.
What that was that? Because I heard of one. What state was that in?
I can't remember what state it was in. I can look it up right now, but it was the Ethiopian or Somali, and this happened like 2 years ago, last year, and he
Because
recently just got
I heard of a
sentenced.
similar situation in Minnesota where a black man killed a white woman and got 12 years, but the family turned around and sued for the biggest lawsuit from a police department, like $20 million.
It was, yeah, it was in
Mm.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, I heard of that one, but
Wait a minute, hold on. It said that he was sentenced to 12.5.
yeah, but the family got $20 million, and the same thing with Castile. Castile family got like 3 million, 3 to 4 million, something like that. So they were contrasting what's his name, Orlando Castile or something,
Hmm.
that got killed in the traffic situation.
So let me ask you this. So now looking at it, he got
Yeah,
12.
that's his name. That's his name.
Yeah, he got
He,
what?
he got 12. This officer got 12.5 years. Amber Guyger got 10 years. So he got 2.5 more than her. But
I bet he
um
served every last bit of that 12 years.
so,
I bet
yeah,
he
and this
did.
just recently happened. So you think he gonna serve every last bit of
He
that,
gonna
huh?
serve every last guy. He got 12 years flat. Fuck that. It ain't. It ain't I bet he didn't get. I guarantee you, he didn't get no. And then you know what else happened? The police department didn't even. That police union abandoned him. They didn't even support him.
Ain't that some shit?
Yeah, they abandoned him. It wasn't no shit with everybody trying to get behind. Nah, them people left him out to dry. He was lucky he got
But
that
that's what
job.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like y'all debating or opposing my point, but my point is real. My point is honest. I'm not feeling any type of way about it. But it's like when you see this type of stuff in movies and TV, like if it's some, you can tell as an adult what shit is outlandish and what like what shit is make believe and what shit is based on true events.
Sure, let me
But
ask you
the
a
in
question.
this day and age, you can't tell what the hell is true and what the hell is based on true events. It looked like it all could possibly go down in this day and age. And I'm just saying that to say, like, I'm saying somebody said that she was gonna get through this okay. It don't have nothing to do with her being a police, but that's why I keep thinking about this case with this white girl and her baby, this young girl. She was like 17, 18 that killed her baby, buried her baby, and got off scot free. I'm like, of course it has to do with her also being white, crying and stuff like that. But I'm like, she committed a murder on a grown ass person, not her own child, not one of her own family members. Didn't walk in and shoot a whole church of black people. Like, you straight up walk to somebody's house and just kill the shit out of them, and you only get 5 years. It have to do with everything. Her being a ex police or former police officer, her being white, her crying, her being a woman as well. Like, I feel like they took it over easy. And that's what I'm saying. The proof is right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the judge backing them. That judge not white. So, you know what I'm
He
saying?
got a
Like,
white
that
mind.
Yeah, you can have a white
when
mentality.
ASAP Rocky when ASAP Rocky went to jail just recently, the guy that was defending him, I forget where he went to jail at, but the guy that was defending him, as soon as ASAP came back over here, the next day, because of ASAP Rocky getting out of jail, I guess allegedly, this guy ends up dead.
And then, how about the court just overturned the 20-year term for the woman who did the warning shots? They gave this lady 20 years for fucking warning shots, and they just overturned it because of this bullshit case. But you said something, D. Darrell. You said something very interesting. I didn't look at it from this perspective, but you said that the black lady was rubbing this cracker bitch's hair, this cave bitch was rubbing her motherfucking hair like she wished it was on her motherfucking head.
Yes.
And that's what I mean when I'm talking about black women wearing fucking weaves. I'm not saying weaves that don't match their natural texture. I'm not
Mm.
saying that it means particularly that this person is thinking outright, oh, I hate my fucking self. I hate my fucking self.
Yeah.
But when you do shit like that, just like when this lady was rubbing this bitch's hair like that, and these black girls go out and buy hair that look just like that, do you not realize how that shit really fucking looks?
Man, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of little black girls I seen coming up when I was little, when I was younger, that had white baby dolls, and
And
they
were rubbing the
and they
fucking
combing
hair.
their hair. That's what that shit remind me of. Like
Yeah,
you
and so
admiring the beauty of something that don't
And it
look like
kind of reminds me of a woman petting a dog. That's what it looked like to me.
yeah, yeah.
it.
That's just what I honestly what I was thinking.
But it just
Like
it just
stroking a fucking
it looks
collie.
it looked like or it looked like, you know how in them slave movies you see the
Yes,
nannies combing the hair and say, "Oh, you look so beautiful, ma'am.
that's
Right.
exactly what it was.
Master gonna really enjoy seeing you today, seeing your hair look like this, you know."
Like
Your
what's
hair
the
gonna
movie
look so
Kunta
beautiful.
Kinte when fucking
Mm.
Kizzy was with the little white girl and she
Oh
was her
yeah,
best
Sandy
her
Duncan.
nigger playmate, and you rubbing in
Right.
this cracker bitch hair, making her feel like she's just the most beautiful, and that bitch look like a damn gremlin, Amber Guyger.
Man,
Yeah, she do look like a
I
gremlin.
mean, but this has been going on. This type of stuff has been going on since we got off the plantation.
But I
You
want
know
to
what I'm
ask you,
saying?
Cher.
Like honestly, like how you said, like loafers. If y'all don't remember, Michael Jackson was wearing loafers. You know what I'm saying? He had Jerry curls. Ain't nothing but trying to have your hair as close as you can get to fucking straight without straightening with a perm. You got how they used to dress. They used to have us in them little house on the prairie ass dresses.
Mm.
No fucking swag, but it's all to fit in.
But let me ask
Like
you a
this
question,
isn't,
Cher,
you know what I'm saying?
because we didn't get to finish our last conversation, but you were saying that you don't think straight hair is a sign of self-hate, or if a black woman put weave in her hair or straighten her hair, you don't see that as a sign of self-hate, especially with how, incidents like when this black lady was rubbing in this white lady's hair. Like you don't see that as a sign of self-hatred for a black woman to go and buy hair of another, either another person that's not of her race, or an animal, or some whatever type of fiber it is that they make, braid down your real hair
Mm.
and put down some hair on your head that looks nothing like your texture. You don't see how that correlates with that lady.
I mean, well, to answer your question, because it's kind of like two different questions. If we're talking about just is the hair being straight itself, is that self hate? Like if a black woman straightens her hair versus wearing her natural curly hair or something like that, do I think that that is self hate? I mean, you already know where I'm going with this. No, not really. If she straightens out her hair, I don't think that that's self hate.
So if a
That's
person
like
puts a
trying
perm in their
something new.
hair,
Hold on. That's like trying something new. That's like trying to style. If you get a hot comb, you know what I mean, and just straighten your real hair, if you do that, I don't feel like that's no self hate. I feel like that's a woman trying something, or at the very least, bit trying to be neat, decent. She's going for a certain look. But as far as adding other hair or wearing other people's hair, do I believe that that could be looked at as self hate? It could very well be looked at as self hate. Or like I said, like there's people where I grew up at that they feel like their hair just didn't grow fast enough for the styles that they wanted to do. They didn't have enough to do some up, some down, and bangs. It didn't grow. It's not that it wasn't growing, but it's like they want to look cute now. We live in a now. That's what the microwave is all about. Instead of motherfuckers cooking on the stove, that's what the microwave is. You know what I mean? We live in a now ass society, and a person not finna wait and actually put in the work and take the time that it takes to actually grow and nurture their hair to a length that it needs to be. They're gonna if you got the option to fucking go, you can buy your hair if it won't grow. You can fix your nose if it says so. And you can buy all the makeup that the man can make, girl.
okay, yeah, that's cool. But what I'm saying is that if a person like Madam C.J. Walker created and invented the hot comb so that black women could mimic white women in the European style so that they could get jobs and so they could be better received in the corporate sector and in the world. So that was due to self-hate. And anytime a person chemically changes themselves, whether they bleach their skin or they put bleach chemicals in their hair to straighten it out, that's self-hate. If a person feel like they need to fix their nose, if there's nothing wrong with your nose other than you feeling like it's too big because white people said your nose is too big, that's self-hate. So just because it's normalized to wear a weave and to straighten your hair and to do all of these things that's unnatural to your black self, that's self-hate, regardless of how you look at it. And when that black lady was rubbing that white
No,
lady,
I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying if it's I feel like half the world in our community with the women. I feel like half of them do it because it's convenience, because it's there, just because like you said, because everybody else is doing it. I don't think they necessarily hate themselves. They might just be a regular chick been wearing her natural hair this whole time, and they got a homegirl that keep telling them about lace fronts, or keep telling them about sewing, keep telling them about clipping, and she might just try it, and then it's quick. It's just like something to do. And then you got some of them that, yeah, I do feel like in Jamaica, it's a major epidemic where they got people, which this don't have to do with hair, but still my point, where bleaching their skin like crazy, spending a lot of money on skin bleach and bleaching their skin a lot. I feel like that is a clear sign of self
That's
hate.
just
But with
horrible.
hair,
That's just horrible. I don't know why
it
black people
depends on the person. You have to ask that
so
person. And I feel like if they hate themselves enough, they'll straight up tell you. But we
Nah,
can't.
not
I
a
don't
lot
like
of
when we just
people.
assume that it's all women that just hate they. So I don't like when we assume that, because that's not the case with every woman.
The only time I've seen a white girl wear braids in her hair, and it usually don't even look right, she's trying something new, and 9 times out of 10, she's probably in a predominantly black area. But most white girls, women, are not putting box braids and cornrows in their hair. Now, I do, again, because we have black people in this system that will call themselves light skinned, and they're not light skinned at all. That's a form of self hate. What those people were perpetuating was on a larger scale where we could actually see. But these are things that are carried out every single day in our community.
Come
And
out of here now.
when a black person is doing certain things in their everyday life, they carry these same ideologies and issues on their job. Those black women clearly worshiped whiteness, whether they felt that because whiteness was a form of success or it was a form of beauty, however it was, they internalized it so bad that they literally was freaking placating to this lady who committed a murder.
exactly. But
So the reason why I even mentioned the weaves and the hair, all this stuff that I mentioned previously, I mean, again, a lot of the stuff that I was saying in previous lives, it showed itself in this particular instance.
yeah, it did.
Like I said, just by this lady
Yeah,
rubbing on this white lady's hair.
like, oh, it's so beauty. I wish it was mine. It's like that to me. That was just so sick. I just couldn't.
I mean, it was very sickening. In my opinion, it was sickening. Like, I don't know if she was really thinking about this chick's hair, or was she trying to just be on some consoling type stuff, petting her, touching her shoulder, and all that weird shit. I don't know if she was necessarily thinking about the hair, but it could be true. It could be true.
Well,
She could have been
look,
sitting there petting
I
this
like
lady
actually.
hair and admiring her,
Yeah,
and placating, feeling sorry for her. It could have been true, I guess.
but
I don't think it was that she wanted the lady's
Here's, I
hair.
want to ask you a question. I watched. This is important. I've been wanting to ask you this question, but I saw Rashida Strober on O'Shea's channel the other day, and she brought up the term. This case was all about darkism.
Mhm.
The term that she used and so forth. Me and I actually spoke. I actually talked to her, and she left a comment for me and so forth. And I discussed stuff about it. And I told her about it. I thought she probably was going to come on, but I talked to her about this, and then O'Shea made a kind of a, you know how he is. He started making jokes and saying all kind of crazy stuff, and he thought it was crazy for her to say that. And then she initially did a show the next day called the Amber Guyger case was about darkism, mammyism,
Mhm.
so to speak. So what's your take on that?
And who is this question for?
It's for you. I was pointing to you.
Oh, okay. Um, I didn't see her video, so I don't
You
know.
didn't see the video? Okay. Well, she talked about it being she called the judge. She basically used the term darkism, mammyism because she felt like the judge was acting like a mammy
She
for
was.
with the Bible, the hugging, and all that kind of stuff like that. And then she also looked at the judge as being a a dark skinned woman
Mhm.
that portrayed this and showing affection for a white lady, and
Mhm.
as far as white worshiping, so to speak. To sum it up, and I'm not saying it. I'm saying it in my words, not hers, but I'm just kind of
Mhm.
summing it up. But I thought it was interesting when she was when O'Shea was talking about this particular situation. She was in the chat, And when she said that, he highlighted it to talk about it for about 10, 15 minutes in regards to her using darkism as something that was basically displayed in this particular case. So,
I can't hear. Somebody's background is loud. I can't. Hello.
sure, you okay?
I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Okay. So I just wanted to touch bases on that just to see what you thought.
Um, I think I can't really speak too much on it because I didn't see it, so I would have to look at her video. I would have to look at O'Shea Duke Jackson's video. But
I would say go
it,
ahead and look at hers because she actually went into detail about it, and she did a couple of shows on it.
so the issue was clearly based on racism. I mean, it was the issue that happened in the courthouse was clearly for everybody to see was based on racism.
Okay. But what do you think about the term darkism used in replace of racism?
Is it? I didn't know that it was.
But that no, you know what? I'm gonna get away from you. Don't have to look it because I felt like in watching the video, that's what she was doing. But I'm gonna let you comment on that later once you watch the video. We'll get back to that.
I mean, I agree. I agree that it's clearly based on racism, but like I said, I made my point because at the end of the day, a judge still have a say so, and I feel like it was bigger than right because a judge could see all that shit, and let's say she really does have the good old Dallas Police Department behind her, okay, and so she can make whatever choice she want to make, and she's gonna live her life uh without any worry after she makes whatever decision she feel is just. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if that was the case, you know what I'm saying, then no telling she might not have ever had a case this big before too, because I'm still replaying it in my head, her swinging her arms and having all of this, and then giving a chick a Bible and having all of this emotion, and then you only give a chick 5 years for murder. So it's clearly racism, but it's just like, okay, if it's racism, then we talked about this on some lives before. It's like a spirit thing, like the fucking Get Out movie. Like, so is everybody, the judges, the prosecutors, the police department, and all of that, is everybody spiritually white then? Because how do you, as a judge, see this wrong, and you got all the power in your hand to make the decision, also the jury and shit like that, and then you still give somebody 5 years? Are they like spiritually white?
No, it's not. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even correlate. You to me, the whole thing was about you didn't give a damn about the to me, his mom is the victim, and she should have. I just man, it's just the way all this shit went down. It just was like one big ass spectacle. And
Yeah,
so
and
my whole thing is
Yeah.
that she cared about the feelings of this white woman over the woman who lost her own children because of this shit.
Mm-mm-mm.
You kill. I've never seen in my life. You kill somebody and everybody's showing sympathy to you.
that's crazy.
This is this fucking.
That's crazy.
This is psychosis. This is like fucking schizophrenic. Like this like how the hell if
That's
anybody
white supremacy is a mental illness.
like you should be talking about Miss Bachman. Um, I'm so sorry, but that's what everybody. She's the person everybody should be saying.
That's crazy.
Not this woman.
Black victims are oftentimes demonized.
Yeah, you the victim and die, and everybody want to demonize you like you did. You the one laying up dead, and
Yeah,
somebody.
it's like it's your fault for dying, nigga.
Yeah, I've already told my family members that I talked to about this. I say, look, if something happened to me, if if you get up there and say some shit about forgive, look, I'm telling you now, don't even speak. Just don't waste your breath. Just say you ain't got shit to say. I don't want to hear no shit about my family saying, well, if he would have been here, he would have forgave. No, I would have said, pop a YouTube show and you'll see what I would have seen. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear
Ha!
that. You would have tell I wouldn't have said no shit like that. I don't even.
Right,
I'm like, cause
and
I don't want to hear it because it's like this has happened too many times.
right,
You
and
know,
his dad.
But never on this level though.
yes, it had happened on this level. That happened with the Dylan Roof killed 9 people.
And went to Burger King.
And all the family members of the 9 people said we forgive them. The people wasn't even
I
dead.
know, but how much time did he get though?
Well, he got time because look how I mean I understand that he killed multiple people, and
He
then they
killed
showed,
multiple
they
people.
identified he killed multiple
But
people.
yeah, but how?
He got
Yeah,
life.
how much
He got put to
time did he
death.
get?
I don't know. He got death penalty or life,
No,
something like that.
and he got
Okay.
death penalty because he requested it.
Yeah, but he
What?
probably wouldn't even got that.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
What?
They wasn't gonna give him the death penalty.
Yeah,
He
they wasn't even
requested
gonna
it,
give
and
him
he
the death.
requested it twice.
He out his goddamn motherfucking mind.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, he went and did this, but these these black people love everybody. Let somebody in there that you know ain't part of your community. How you look a random crazy looking white boy come show up at your church, and
Because all they see is that white skin.
you don't have no reservation
That's a good point.
person and why he want to all of a sudden come to a black church. You basically don't have
Nah, but I
no
bought.
in the world, and you just let this person. It don't know shit about this man, and you just let him in this church to pray with you, and then he sit there and pray and sing and then kill you.
Nah, I bought this up to say this because the out is just too outrageous. It's just so I don't care if it was one people or multiple people. You walk to somebody's house and killed the shit out of them. Says, "Oh, I thought it was my place. Oops," and you didn't even say sorry to the family. It's too fucking outrageous. Why am I bringing this up? Because it was just on social media the other day. Motherfuckers is like you see H&M keep doing this monkey ass bullshit with their ads with clothing and like keep making black people look bad and putting them in their clothes and all this type of shit because a lot of people are generating money and attention off of black outrage. That's the newest wave. That's the latest craze, the newest thing. You freak out black people, piss them off, offend them or outrage them, and we're getting money. Cause you gonna have some people like just like when the Gucci shit went down with the blackface incident, you still had a whole bunch of rappers and shit still buying that shit. I mean, like the actual sweater with the blackface
They
lips
don't
on the
think that
collar.
they think they're above being black.
I mean, yeah, I mean they making stupid money. They're incredibly rich, ridiculously rich, and they don't have moral standards, values to live by. They just all they know is that they not where they were anymore. So how can we possibly be the same people? So spiritually, we not the same people to them. But I'm just saying they making money off of outrage these
But
days.
every
Out,
generation,
outrage is where it's at.
every generation, white supremacy make example of a high profile, rich, wealthy,
Absolutely.
and even though they do that, they still don't learn. The
At
lady
all.
Bill,
Wait, they make an example out of what?
I say every generation, every decade, white supremacy make an example out of a high profile black person that's successful. And even though they do that,
Oh.
the people who are currently at that level or in that particular area of being successful black people don't take heed to it and learn from it. They don't learn.
Give an example. Like, what do you mean?
OJ Simpson, Bill Cosby, the latest.
Mhm.
That's just two. You know, every generation is something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who else? Let me name somebody else that got messed over. Shit, I don't know why. It's escaping me right now. But it's a bunch of people, but I'm just who else didn't went down from grace?
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Michael Jackson, Prince.
Bill
Um,
Cosby.
what's his name? They got what's the dude Wesley Snipes?
Hmm.
Don't forget
Um,
Bill
Damn,
Cosby.
yeah. They got Wesley ass.
no, he said Bill Cosby. There was a comedian who said that black men never leave the industry clean.
No,
Shit. What's the guy's
Dave
name?
Chappelle.
No,
because
it was
they don't. You know
the
why they
guy who
don't?
played Malcolm in the Middle,
You
and
know
also
why? You know why they don't leave clean? Because they know that, particularly those that own the rights to their own intellectual property, they don't want a legacy of somebody passing that shit down from one generation to another, and that family not working for the residuals. They automatically receiving those residuals. They don't want another Elvis, like Elvis family. Don't have to work a day in their life from here to perpetuity because
right, they don't want it passed down, right?
exactly, and they don't want black people doing that.
What's the comedian name who they just went ahead and tried to destroy? Paul Mooney.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
well,
Damn, they sure
they
did
said
come
it
for
for
Paul
Paul
Mooney. I
Mooney.
was mad
Paul
about
Mooney
that.
really was like I'm not gonna say I ain't trying to say nothing against the brother, but Paul Mooney had a shaky past. I'm gonna just leave that. That's just like R. Kelly. R. Kelly
Uh,
snitched. I mean, I don't know if that's the
but I
best.
still feel like they hold R. Kelly low key. I still feel like they hold him because, like he said, I gave y'all 30 fucking years. At any given point, like when it first went down, if they wanted to really murder his career, they could have did it then. They
That's
could have did it with
true.
Aaliyah. They could have did it with the bitches after that. They waited until okay, we done milked this cow, and now he'll be like really. A person once told me it's more than one way to kill a person. You don't have to physically kill a person. If you stop their money, if you ruin their career where they can't, you know what I'm saying? If you stop certain shit in a person's life, that's already killing them, especially if they go to prison for the rest of their fucking life. I mean that this person don't exist anymore.
Hell, I mean
Ain't
they
nobody
doing it
gonna ain't nobody gonna write a motherfucker that's known as a child rapist. Ain't nobody gonna give a fuck. He did.
right, and they're doing it to. I mean, to some people, y'all might not see it this way, but they doing that shit, same shit to Nicki Minaj right now. So the point of what I'm saying is that black people, again, we are not unified in any fucking kind of way at all. Like there is
Nope.
no fucking unification. There is no fucking order, structure, none of that shit. And so it's
We
a bunch
can't
of
be.
chaos and confusion. Right? It's a bunch of chaos and confusion, and all that does is causes divisiveness. And white people see how that's an easy way to just keep some shit going between us and amongst us. And that's the reason why, like I said, um, previously, like when a motherfucker try to sit there and talk about, the black man and the black woman is like all that trying to, unless you're gay, unless you're a gay black man, there's no way that your whole argument about the black community should just be based specifically and solely on the black woman. And unless you are a butch dyke feminist who don't even like black people, there's no way that your sole argument should just be about black men. It's a black people issue collectively, because as far as I can remember, black men and black women were both slaves and in this system of oppression,
Exactly.
and been fucked around mentally. So
We we we
um
we
I
experienced.
actually had that argument with somebody. What'd you say, Dita?
I said we both experienced the same trauma together. No
I
more
actually
than
had that argument. Oh, go ahead. My bad.
what?
I actually had that argument with somebody though. Like the motherfucker, he's black. He was trying to tell me like, man, you women don't have to go through that because to take your phrase, D real. He was, you know how you be talking about the white man's ice is colder. Y'all be thinking the white man's ice is colder. Well, he
Yeah.
kind of had the same views, different phrase. He was like, at the end of the day, a black woman could go over here and be sexualized and take care of. A black woman could go over there and use her titties and ass to get this and that. Or if she's just beautiful or just smart enough, like he felt like we still don't have the same what you call that, like
Form of racism.
the
You don't have the
dis
same experience.
yeah, we don't go through the same struggles. And I'm like, that's a whole fucking lie. How would you feel? Well, a man wouldn't care, so I really can't compare. But if the only way you could really get forward is if you're the right color, you're the right shade of black, or you're sexy enough, because they ain't listening to what the fuck is coming out your mouth either way. Because it's not just the color thing; it's also a really big, like Trump told you that, grab it by the pussy. It's a really big sexism thing. So it's like, yeah, I'm just saying we go through the same struggles, and in a lot of ways it's kind of worse. Cause you could a black dude could be with a white woman all day, and that's kind of all he would kind of need to do. Yeah, you might get hate from people like, oh, all he date is Spanish and white women. He don't even like his own race, but you still gonna jam his music. Or if he a football player, you still gonna watch his games and support him. If it's vice versa, like take Serena Williams, they was trying to say she was a coon. They was trying to say Eve was a coon when she ended up marrying a white man and having his kids and shit like that. Like, you can't win for losing.
I
It's
came
just,
from
it's just
so
survive. You
you
just got to do what you got to do to survive.
and
so
I
you
got
don't think
pictures
a black
of
person is a coon for dating outside their race?
difference.
You don't think a black person is a coon for dating outside their race?
Who?
Share.
Oh,
You talking to me?
Uh-huh.
You say you talking to me?
Yeah, you don't think a black person is a coon for dating outside their race?
Look, um, This is a very, very good question, and I knew it was gonna come a time where this question was gonna come to me. I'll be honest with you. You finna to get real fucking hot. I have tasted the motherfucking rainbow. I've dated outside my race. You know what I'm saying? But what do I prefer? You know what I'm saying? Is my race. You know what I'm saying? And I've dated my fair share of black men, but I've dated a Spanish dude or a Puerto Rican or whatever. I've dated a white guy before because I had my issues at that time with younger, less mature black men. You know what I'm saying? And so it just, this was like not in my mature stage as a woman yet. This is me coming up, still knowing myself. I know what I want, but when I go for what I want, it seems like everybody's playing the fuck around, or they don't value me how I value me. So it's like, let me see if anybody else values me how I do. We match? Do we match? It doesn't match. So it's like, if it ain't gonna match, I might as well at least be with my race and have it not match there, because it's all the same shit at the end of the day. You just got to pick what flavor you like.
So you don't think that a black person is a coon for dating outside their race?
I don't think no black person is no coon. I don't think no black person no coon. Like, when you mature and you grow up and you say, did, like, okay, take Jordan Peele, right? Now, I don't know if you knew or not, but the guy that made the Get Out movie and the guy that just did the Us movie and made millions off of it, I think he half white in the first place. But let's, even if he was all the way black, he's married to a white woman,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, the way he spoke about it at one point, and I've seen this shit in school. Like, you got some black boys that just get looked at as sissified, weak, nerds, this, that. So, before they ever became themselves, became men, became money makers, became established, became this and that, the only thing they ever could pull or seem mannish enough for was other race women.
Okay, so any
And
black
then depending on the area or your shade of color as a woman, the only thing gonna be attracted to you is other shade men. So you can't get mad at or call that person out their name, or call them coon or stuff like that if they end up. It depends on how it went down for them. Like, if you had the option, like the football players, I kind of don't get it, because it's like, clearly you a big sexy dude or whatever the fuck, you play football, so you had your pick of the litter, and you just went for, in your head, what you think is supreme. You went in your head for the best in your
so
eyes, because I
regardless
don't
of the
No,
know,
reason,
they
yeah,
pushed them
regardless
white.
of
They
the
pushed.
because
Go
I don't
ahead. I
know a
want
lot
to
of
say
people that
something about
just
that
settle
when you're
for
done.
less. Go ahead, I want to know what you got to say. Go ahead.
No, they push them white girls on them niggas so that they don't spend their money in the black community. That's what they do that for, and just to keep them indoctrinated so they don't want to
Damn.
go back to their community. That's what they push them on them. That's what they
right.
do.
And any black person that dates outside their race is a coon. And regardless of if a black man doesn't find you attractive, oh well, fuck them niggas. There is a black man that will. And if a black woman doesn't find you attractive, oh well, there is a black woman that will. Motherfuckers date outside their race, specifically black people who have been so oppressed. They date outside of their race. It's usually for issues of self-hate. And regardless of whether this person tries to pretend to be pro-black, or they do small things, just like the black billionaire who's dating married to the white lady who went ahead and paid the Morehouse tuition or whatever. These people can never fully be for black people.
Nope.
They can never fully be for black people. Like, let's be, you know what I mean? Like, come on, you can never fully be for a black person when you're dating someone of another race.
Right.
It is what it is.
Yep. And I still
And
go
then, like, the more,
to my
oh,
own
go ahead, Dita
to
Real.
my own
Sorry.
family, so I already know. Go ahead.
I wanted to say too, like, the more I think about it as you speak about it right now, Didi, like, I do feel like, how you see certain people throw up certain signs. Like, okay, if you a blood, you throw up blood signs. You a crip, you throw up crip signs. I feel like the more I think about it, like, if you date outside your race and you're up there, where any woman will date you. I don't care what you've been through. Any woman will have you, marry you, have your kids, love you to death, and you choose. It's like a sign. It's like throwing up a sign that you cooning or you down.
Yeah, you down with white
You know.
supremacy.
And that's what I'm saying. It's kind of hard for me because that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, having some sex. I mean, we are grown, but having some sex is one thing. But, like, to choose or have a mate, like, like you actually dating the person, just like throwing up blood. If you throw up blood sign, that means you're a blood. If you throw up a crip sign, that means you're a crip. If you date outside your race when you could have very well had any woman of your own race, well, I guess you cooning. And I think they what I'm picturing in my head right now is when how he said they push the women on them, and you see them come to an event and they getting pats on the back. How did you get that? Good job. Look at her. You know,
The thing is
and
that
it's like a white
exactly,
woman.
exactly.
You feel what I mean? No, but you never seen that shit like in different events. Like the nigga could have been doing good his whole life, but he don't really get looked at as a man, or like he doing something out here. Like he really, how do I put it? He up there and established and respected until he goes all the way. You got to go all. If you're gonna be in this shit, you got to be all the way in this shit, and that may very well mean dating outside your race and not creating more purebred blacks.
Yeah, and like
Can't be doing that.
yeah, and like I said, it's crazy because again, black people normalize this way of thinking, like, and it shows in almost everything. I don't give a damn if you're dealing with a black police officer. Again, I don't care if you're dealing with a black judge. Like these people's might have. Let me ask y'all: anybody ever came in contact with a black officer? And when you're talking to them, they just almost have this look, like almost like a blank cold,
Yep.
like just
They look at you
just
like you're a criminal.
yeah, it's almost like there's no fucking emotion. Like they're ready to fucking attack or just put some shit on you, or because they have this hatred for your blackness, and they're black too.
Yeah.
And that's some crazy shit,
And they
man.
trained to do that. They indoctrinated to do that.
And it's like, what the fuck are these people drinking at this goddamn police station to make them so almost cold, like cold to blackness, and they're black themselves? Like,
You
I
just
mean,
you just made me think of another counseling situation, and this just happened this year.
okay.
I had a white police. I
Mhm.
declined this case too. I had a white police called. He wanted me to see him because he was working for um, it's a suburb outside of Houston, right? He was working in a town that's majority black, right?
Mhm.
But they have but the whole police agency is white almost,
Mhm.
and he basically wanted to see a black therapist because the department was indoctrinating him to only focus on uh, basically focus on arresting and fucking with white and fucking with black people all day.
Mhm.
Nobody else. But they told him you're gonna have to watch black people. You're gonna have to the majority of the tickets gonna have to come from black people. You need to watch if you see any suspicious looking black. Everything was about black people. Okay. Now when he called
What the fuck?
huh?
I
Go
said,
ahead.
what the fuck?
Yeah, the guy, my office manager gave me the notes on the thing because she was asking me did I want to accept the case. I told him no, I don't want to deal with it because I'm not about to allow myself to be in some situation in which this dude can get possibly killed, murdered, or some other shit, and then
Mhm.
they're gonna have me in court testifying based on my clinical notes of what happened between him and the police department. And so
That's
then
crazy.
and put my whole life at risk because they don't want me to testify. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But now, how
So
do you feel?
it's a lot of shit I don't be talking about. That this is the shit that be happening in real life.
So, how do you feel as a black man? Again, I don't know if my questions. I mean, I'm asking, how do you feel as a black man in Texas, and you're answering it thoroughly and all of that.
Yeah,
But knowing what you know, especially being in the world of psychology and therapy and all of these types of things, how do you, as a black man living in specifically a very racist state, then on top of that, dealing with issues of racism through your clients, as well as just through your own blackness, knowing that this system ain't really for you, even the system of psychology and therapy is not really geared for black people. You do know that, right?
of course it's not. Well, I mean, but there's a catch to that.
What's the catch?
It could be geared to anybody, but theoretically speaking, it's looked at in a European perspective.
Right.
So
And so
that though, but go ahead.
knowing that, how do you as a black man, knowing that there's really no protection for you in this system, none, like literally you damn near, I mean, you could walk a straight and arrow and still get murdered or still get mistreated. How do you feel knowing that you really have no protection and there's nobody black really on your side, even in places of supposed to be authority? They're really looking actually to target you more than they are to help you. How do you deal with that? How do you compartmentalize that in your mind?
I don't. I don't think about it
I can answer that. And that actually brings me to the
because
point I've been
because
waiting to
if I think
say.
about that, I run myself crazy trying to think about what somebody gonna do to me. All I can do is do what I do and protect myself.
Right.
I can't. You can't live in white supremacy, but then be scared of white supremacy.
Right. Not scared of it. Not scared of it,
I
but
mean,
knowing the reality of it.
the reality it is what it is. I mean, basically, Louisiana to me is racist, more racist than Texas.
And the fact that you got black
Yeah,
people
probably
that,
is.
I'm used to this. This is something that circumventing white supremacy is been. That's part of.
yo,
This is my whole
D
black
Darrell.
experience.
D, let me tell you, and I'm gonna let Cher say what she gotta say, but D Darrell, let me tell you. When I first came to Georgia, right?
Okay.
I had a homegirl when I was working these work from home jobs. I had a homegirl that I had met on the job. And I remember I wanted to get a Pomeranian. And at the time I had this car where it was shut, like when I would turn it off, or I think it was something wrong with my tire. I think it was something wrong with my tire. And she told me, she said, listen, don't go. And I think I told you this story, D Darrell. She said, don't go driving that car throughout Georgia and your car ain't working right. And I said, well, why you say that? She said, because girl, you will stop in Mr. Willie yard or break down in Mr. Willie, referring to a black man. You'll break down in front of his yard, and you will think that he's for you and he's cool, but this motherfucker will be on the phone with the Klan on your ass. And that was the first time that I had ever heard anybody say anything like that.
Damn, I ain't
Not
never heard nobody say it like that either. But go ahead.
Yeah, and what she was ultimately saying was that they're coons. You see what I'm saying? Not literally on the phone with the Klan member, but trying to call the police or get you fucked up. And when she said that, I had never heard that. And so I thought the chick was tripping. I thought she was just over exaggerating, which a lot of people would think about any black person again that speaks truths like this.
Okay.
So I was like, oh damn. Then in the same conversation, she told me that in Georgia they still have plantations, which they do. And she also said that she saw there was actually people still working on those plantations. And she saw this white lady.
Yeah, there are places that people still sharecropping. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
D. And
nothing
she
wrong with
said,
that.
yeah, and she said that she saw a white lady on her porch with rollers in her hair with a shotgun in a rocking chair, and it was a black lady in the fields picking whatever she was picking. And this was in 2015.
Yes.
Me and her, or 2014. Me and her had this conversation in 2016. And I was like, what the what?
Yep.
And so it wasn't until I personally started moving around Georgia that I saw exactly what she meant. And if you were anything out of the ordinary in that area as a black person, even amongst black people, all of a sudden the police would show up. And so I'm like, damn, this is some strange shit. Then I went to the Apex Museum, just wanting to, travel and, get a feel of the Georgia history or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a specific sign on the wall that said, if a slave does not recognize another slave, or if this slave person is acting out of the ordinary, you make sure you call law enforcement. Basically telling other blacks that if you see another black person that is not acting according to what you think they should be doing in this system, you need to call the police on their motherfucking ass. So this shit is so ingrained. And so when I asked you the question about, knowing that you have no backup, but also knowing that there are black people that are literally, they got this white supremacist shit so deep that they'll be the Basically they already did it to you with your job.
Yeah, but that's nothing new though.
That's crazy.
That's nothing new. That's part of the black experience.
And that's sad.
But
That's sad as fuck.
man, there's so many stories I could tell. Like some of my biggest adversaries were black people,
Right.
but at the
With white
same time,
minds.
some of my biggest supporters were actually black. But you got to be very cognizant of who you affiliate yourself with and who you interact with. I prefer to kind of keep to myself, and I never was one to have a lot of friends anyway as an adult. So I'm not trying to be trying to be cool and friendly and put everybody in your business type of thing. That
Absolutely.
that's something I never. That was actually something I was taught.
Now, being that you have a black son and you in Texas, do you
Okay.
instill any? Because one of the things I will say before I ask this question is that I think it's important not to allow your kids to walk in fear, because a lot of black folks would try to, it's almost like they scare their children to make it seem as though being a black is a curse, being black is being a so-called black person, being brown is a curse. But at the same time, you do have to prepare your children for what society really is when it comes to them. What do you do? How do you let him know how it is, or do you let him know, or do you just kind of let him come to you with questions?
Nah, he know. I talk about it all the time.
Mm.
I talk about the same stuff that we talk about on this show. Is the same stuff I talk about in real life.
Does it affect him
Yeah, he
negatively?
know better. He got good sense. He know better.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to
He,
be
he, he don't
a person
okay, matter
that's
of
like,
fact, my son, I'm not meaning to interrupt you, but my son,
No, that was share. My bad.
okay, my son is very aware of what of white supremacy, and he actually didn't like the fact that the school that, because when we moved actually a couple years ago to this new house, the school the demographic it was a demographic shift for him, and so my son is accustomed to going to schools that are majority black. Okay, the school
Mm.
that he's going to now is majority Hispanic, white, and then black. He didn't like it, but I had to
Mm.
educate him on how he had to navigate himself as a young black man, and regardless of that, how he should carry himself, how he should speak, how he should basically intelligent is what I'm basically what I tell them. You have to be intelligent at all times. You ain't there
Right.
to act a fool, act stupid. You're not there to you're there to be educated.
But do you think that strips him of his
Yeah, it doesn't
childhood?
do anything. You got to be intelligent no matter where you at. It doesn't matter.
Right. But he should still be able to be a child, though.
Of course, but you can be an intelligent child. You still. I'm not saying you can't have fun. You're not gonna make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes, but at the same
Hmm.
time, you still have to be intelligent and aware of the people you're around. Because he was used to being in the school that he went to was a majority black school. The middle school and then the elementary school is a little mixed, but he liked being around his own people. And see, for
Right.
me, I went to school that was probably 55-45 black and white, was very segregated. And so for me, I'm used to not interacting with white people is normal.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Not being friends with them is normal. I don't understand people who are friends with white. To me, matter of fact, one of the biggest things I disliked about working for white companies that I did work for before I went into business was seeing what I hated. The thing that disgusted me the most was seeing black people always running in white people's face. That
Right.
that was the most. That to me would be, and I knew not to hang around that type of person, because that's the kind of person that's always trying to look for validation. And as soon as they see you doing something, they go and run to white folks saying, "Oh, look, this what he did. Look, he did this and did that." You know, to get their approval. So I teach my son how to be a professional because he's watching me as a professional. So you have to also do it by example, by normal conversation. Do I have to sit and have a lecture with him and say, "Hey, this is so I don't I can just do it through social situations and just through interacting with him on a day-to-day basis and bring up teachable moments.
Mm.
That's my style. Now, everybody can be different. So, Jaru, you've been quiet. What's going on, man?
I thought
I'm
Cheryl.
just listening, man. Because I'm an old man. I'm an old man. I don't see too much close to midnight these days. I'm just laying in bed listening to everybody.
I thought Cheryl
Just
was gonna
listening.
speak, but
You
yeah,
said
I
you wanted to
mean,
say something.
I'm really not. I don't have any white friends or anything like that either. I just don't. I don't have a lot of friends. Period. But when I see somebody like you said that wants to be alongside with white people, I already know that this person is trying to get their validation, and I'm not going to get close to this person because
Yeah,
they're going to take anything that I say or do and run back and tell them, especially if it's on the job. Luckily, I work in a field where I don't work. I work independently and don't have to really deal with anybody, so it works out good for me.
now did
But
you
when I
ever
was
at any point have a close connection or relationship to white people at any point, or did your parents instill kind of like a white supremacist without telling you it was a white supremacist mentality, but did they kind of
well,
instill that in you?
when I went to a private school that was a predominantly white, a Christian school, and I pretty much got my nigga wake up call pretty early on when we went to the Naval Academy for a field trip one day, and the bus broke down. So we went over into this field, started playing. We started roughhousing, and it was me and this other black kid. We was the only blacks in the whole grade. It was two grade. It was two classes in the grade. It was sixth grade at the time. So we were wrestling, playing, and this one girl's mother comes along and says, "We're not trying to have any nigger power here." And I'm like, "What?" So I go home and tell my mom about it. She writes a letter to the school, and the school is pretending to be up in arms about it, saying that the woman can no longer come to any school functions or anything like that. And we thought it was a dead issue. So, but in the seventh grade, she was there. One of our teachers had a birthday party, so I knew right then and there that what they say is what they say, and they really tried to make me feel inferior. Like well, when Israel Bound told the story last week about how they told how God told Moses to put his hand in his cloak, and when he pulled it out, it was white. Well, they switched it up to be that he pulled it out and it was black. And I remember everybody in the classroom just laughing at me, looking at me, making me feel real inferior. And when it came to like dating and having little boyfriends and girlfriends, I would often hear, "Jimmy, you're cute for for a black boy," or "I can't date you, Jimmy. You're the wrong color." And that kind of it kind of stuck with me for a while, and it kind of made me want to feel like I wanted to prove myself to these people.
Right,
Then
and the
once I
reason why
found
I
out,
asked you that, the reason why
mm,
I asked you that is because I could tell, and it's the same thing with Ken, and this is no disrespect to you. There's a spirit, there's an energy that comes with black people that have dealt with white people on a consistent basis or who have been
right,
affected by them. And you have that spirit. It's still there. You're aware of it clearly, but it's still I can hear it even in how you pronounce your like I'm gonna be
my
honest.
voice inflections.
Yeah, it sounds like a racist or a biased white person. It comes across as like almost like an arrogant white person. But you're
Well,
saying things that
my
are
voice inflection.
yes.
Right,
It comes
right,
across as an arrogant white person.
right.
And but you're saying and I'm not jumping on you and being, being trying to be facetious or negative or anything, but it just when black people have been indoctrinated with that white supremacist shit, even when you come out of it, there's still remnants of it that lingers on a person. It's so deep, especially because this system praises whiteness. It's like it's certain things that a person just in some cases just can't really fucking shake. And as a black person, of course, you're going to be aware that they disrespected you, but then there are going to be some things that you have of theirs, like certain inflictions, or what do you call it, afflictions,
Inflict.
inflections, or whatever you call it. And just the way that you speak, or certain things, and you will take that to around black people and you will utilize that as a source of power. A lot of those black people at Howard University did that. They did that like a motherfucker. They often talked
You
about
went
how
there.
they oftentimes talked about how they were mistreated by black people. They were the only black person in their class. or in the school damn near. But then when they got to Howard, they still had a white supremacist mentality. So
Right.
although their skin may have been dark or brown, or their hair was coarse, their features were broad or whatever, they still brought that mentality, that white mentality. And any black person that didn't hold that white mentality, they had an issue with those black people. So
Mm.
that shit is deep when black people deal with white people on a consistent basis. And I'll pass the mic on, but I just want to say this. There's this chick, there's this YouTuber on well, she has her own channel, and she often talks about black issues, and she's very vocal,
Mm-hmm.
and she's very direct and poignant, and she speaks very well, and she tells it like it is, like she doesn't hold any bars. But I noticed that there was just something about this chick that just seemed a little bit coonish. I couldn't put my finger on it. Like she just didn't seem all the way genuine, although she was speaking the truth.
She was
It
putting
just,
on an act.
huh?
She was putting on an act.
Yeah, it just didn't seem genuine. It was like, okay, she's telling the truth. So it's like, what in the hell is off about her? And so I remember I looked through her Facebook page and I saw that she had some sororities type stuff. I'm not sure if she is, but she had some sorority type memorabilia on her Facebook page, and it was something about her that just came across as like a sorority girl. Like she had that energy. And then she said that, she was really big into Christianity. Now, keep in mind, I'm still saying that there's some cooning. There's something about this bitch that if she gets around white people, all this shit that she's doing right now will switch the fuck up, and she'll turn her cheek to black people. And
Mm-hmm.
she admitted on several occasions on her YouTube channel, she admitted on her YouTube channel several times that on several occasions she did do that. She did play the step and fetch it role.
Can
And
I
she
chime
specifically,
in when she get done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I chime in when Dee Dee get done?
Yeah, yeah, you can. Go ahead. Go ahead, Diddy.
yeah, I'm gonna be done, share. And then she specifically stated how she played at one of her jobs because she calls herself an African. And I said this on one of your lives before too, but she said that she calls herself an African, and she worked at this job, and there was a white boss who loved black women, but he hated black men, specifically Africans, and he would call them monkeys, and he would point his finger in their face when he was talking to them, just being very nasty. And she said that she played the house nigga with a field nigga mind. There's no fucking way that you can actually play a
Wait,
house nigga
wait a minute. Wait
with
a
a,
minute. Stop. Stop. Slow down. Slow. She had the audacity to say, "I played a house. I played a house nigga with a field nigga state of mind, and they both oppressed." What difference does it fucking make?
basically what she was trying to act like was that although she played like she was docile and subjected to what
But
he was
field nigga
doing.
is docile too.
Right. But she was trying to make it like, okay, yeah, I know what's going on. I got a plan. Bitch, you ain't got no plan because he's still there and you made no fucking complaints.
That ain't make no. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but her whole that whole the premise of that doesn't even make any sense.
Absolutely. Then she stated on an occasion that at her job or whatever, she'll see a white person and will say hi, and she'll see a black person and won't say anything. And she says, I still suffer from the issues of white supremacy. Even though she's aware of it, she states that she suffers. And when she finds herself doing coonish type things like that, she knows that she needs to check herself in those instances, or even after those instances, so that she doesn't repeat those same actions
Yeah.
and behaviors.
But
And
she shouldn't be doing a show like that then if she got her own insecurities about stuff like that. Because you
right.
know the is fake.
But see what she did, D, is that a lot of the times, and this happens in abusive relationships as well, a motherfucker will tell you their faults and their flaws, and then will tell you what they need to do to fix those flaws and those faults. And if you're stupid enough to sit there and think that this person is just being oh so real, you will sit there and keep listening to this motherfucker because you think that they're telling you something negative about themselves, so they must be an open book, and that's bullshit. When a motherfucker tell you who they are, believe them. So I automatically, like I said, it clicked. What I was thinking about this person based on just her whole disposition and her mannerisms, the way she was talking about issues of white supremacy. I remember on her earlier videos, she was more serious, not passionate. She wasn't really passionate. That's another thing that you got to look for when motherfuckers do certain shit. Not to say that every black person, because passion can also fool black people. That's how these pastors really fool black people. But when she spoke, she had no passion in her tone. There was no indifference. I mean, she'll
She
make
don't
face.
believe what she's saying. That's why.
Huh?
Because she don't believe what she's saying.
Well, no, see, here's the thing, though, D. She was saying real things. Some of the things that she was
Yeah,
saying
you
was
can
just
say
fact.
real things, but if you can detect that early on, the genuineness in the, I mean, it's just you can say rhetoric and words, but if you can detect that, just like you detected stuff with Kenna, detect stuff with Ja Rules, you can if you can detect that early on with her, and you felt something was wrong, there's obviously something wrong.
Listen, D, and I'm almost done. Listen, it's a little bit more to this. So I noticed earlier on in her videos that she was more serious, more lax. Her facial expressions were more concerned, if anything, when she would mention certain things. But it was almost like she was teaching a lecture. That in of itself was kind of odd to me
Mm-hmm.
because when you're black speaking on black issues, usually there's going to be some passion that arises. Now, I know that she mentioned Dr. Crest Wilson and all these types of people. And yes, those people were actually lecturing. They were actually lecturing. They were doctors and so forth. So that's a little bit different. But it was almost like she was trying to emulate, you know, someone else. It wasn't genuine.
Okay.
Then when she stopped because she had to finish school or whatever, college, came back, and her whole fucking disposition is like she's always like she's smiling or damn near laughing when she's mentioning tragic issues. And I'm like, something about this shit just seemed off like a motherfucker. Then she mentioned on her Facebook page, guys, I noticed that I'm being goofy. Should I go back to my more serious demeanor? So, bitch, you not being real.
Nah, nah.
Like you full of fucking shit.
She's trying to get a YouTube check. That's what she's trying to do.
Right. And because what happened is that on her earlier platform, she kept saying how, she can't keep doing these videos for free. Y'all need to donate to her Patreon or
Yeah, that's YouTube check. Yeah,
so she's trying to find a way
to
to
make
incite, I guess an emotion in people so that she can get motherfuckers to watch, so that she could get more views. And I guess she felt that doing the serious act wasn't getting motherfuckers, really interested. So now it's almost like she's coming across almost jokingly talking about serious topics and issues.
okay. Wow.
And so
There's a bunch of fakes on YouTube.
a bunch,
I'm not surprised.
a
Okay.
bunch.
I feel you on that. So guys, I'm about to go ahead and wrap this up. So is any last words from anybody before I wrap up?
Yeah, based on my disposition and all that, I never really felt like I fit in, right? So eventually that's why I was really drawn to our buddy Umar Johnson at first, because I knew I could fit in there, because I was somewhat, especially because I went to Morgan State after high school. I was like, you know what? I got to get down and know that, there's more to us than we were slaves and stuff like that.
Okay.
So eventually, I went to college at Morgan State, didn't fit in there either. So basically, when I wanted to get down with Umar Johnson, he turned out to be what he is. It kind of really messed me up. So that's why I decided to just go my own way and just fuck with me and don't really fuck with nobody else. I just don't, because I know I don't fit in with motherfuckers
What I'm
like
gonna
that.
tell you is this, brother. If just be yourself, and if you be yourself, you're gonna attract those who are gonna be themselves too.
There you go. That's about it. That works about right. But it's not as many people as I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
No.
So why did you feel like you didn't fit in to Morgan State?
You're gonna.
I guess because, like you said, it's that same spirit and energy to where I sound like an arrogant white person when I talk, and I'm sure that turned a lot of people off. But they didn't exactly know where it was and where it came from, because they didn't know how I grew up.
I thought you was white too when I first.
Yeah, you said that. You said that on the when you roasted me on the video. Yeah, your response to me. Yeah, you did say that. Yeah, you said that. When I listen to myself, when I record myself, sometimes I sound totally black, and sometimes I sound like I'm not so black. It depends. I don't know what it really depends on. Maybe my mood or what I'm speaking on. But my voice sounds the same to me when I'm listening to it from the inside. But
Yeah,
when I hear it recorded, it doesn't sound like when it's coming from me when I'm talking. It doesn't. It just often it doesn't match
it's
up.
environmental. It's just environmental.
There's one more thing right here. It says cop chases down a teen, shoots him twice in the head over stop for a bicycle light, and there were no charges filed against his motherfucking ass.
Uh,
Like Tupac said, cops kill a nigga, he's a hero.
Exactly. That's how it is. Any last words, Diddy?
Um, Not really. I mean, again, when it comes to those inflections and those mannerisms, even D Darrell, I still got my little things. I have my thoughts about you as well. And let me just tell you before we go.
Thoughts
Let me
about what?
let me just tell you before I go.
Go ahead.
Um, so you are very passionate about your disdain for whiteness,
Mm-hmm.
as far as their, who they are,
Mm-hmm.
and but it was definitely, I became curious because I'm like, wait a minute, this man has a job, with a license that if these people heard that, they could easily sabotage his shit,
Yeah,
or
no, they can't. They can't. They can't.
so
they'll
this
at
is like,
least try.
It's trust me. I got legal stuff already. That's why I'm not worried about this stuff with these guys on YouTube. I got legal stuff. I've already had people that tried to do stuff. It didn't work.
right. And so
I'm not
I was like,
operating again. I have a disclaimer. I'm not operating. This is a YouTube show. This is even though this is reality. I'm not performing as my real name with my license. I'm not on here providing therapeutic services.
no, what I'm saying is that white people don't give a fuck about all that. When they
Yeah,
see
but
you,
no, but there are some. I hear what you're saying with that. That's true. They don't. But in my experience, from a legal perspective, it ain't gonna happen that way because there's already been attempts and it didn't work.
right? So I was like, either this man, this was what I was thinking. Either this man ain't really making money off of his actual job like that, or and he just don't give a damn. Like, he's like, fuck the bullshit. I got my degrees. I'm
Yeah,
not even really tripping off the, or you know, you possibly, I won't say working with motherfuckers, but
I think I'm an agent.
I won't say necessarily per se an agent, but it's almost like, are you
Trust
doing
me,
some
trust
type
me.
of field study?
Hold on, let me say something. If I was an agent, trust me, I would be way more theatrical and acting way more crazy and doing all kind of outlandish stuff if I was an agent. Trust me, I'm definitely not an agent. I, but go ahead, I'm listening to you.
Right. So
You trying to figure out if I got you think, and what you're looking at is the fact that if you have all these things going on, why are you risking it? You're kind of risking things doing what you're doing. But in reality, I'm not. I'm really not. It appears that way, but it's not. Like I told you, I have had investigation different things and for stuff way more serious than the little stuff they trying to pull and stuff like that. I have a lawyer. I have a retainer on lawyers. I've been having a retainer with lawyers for over 7, 8 years. I am not concerned with anything that these guys talking about on YouTube. I'm not
all right.
because I fought for worse stuff and came out. So I know. Trust me, I know the legalities of things and also what's in the ethical confines of what I can and can't do. I understand that before I even do it. I'm not gonna just get on here and be irresponsible. Now, what you have to understand, if somebody chooses my services, they can choose or don't choose my services. They have a right to do that. Okay. Now it could hurt me in that way because but the thing about it, the majority of my clients and people that come to my business, they're not black.
Right. And that was another thing. It was like, okay, this is kind of odd.
They're not black. But at the same time, if they have an issue and they feel like they don't want to see me, okay, well you can go. I'm not gonna try to encourage you to come.
Right, but that's your source of income. That's your
Yeah,
main
but
source.
I have, but I mean, okay, I'm gonna say this. I have a variety of sources of income. It's not just one thing. I don't want to go into detail with all that. But
Right.
if somebody told me I saw your YouTube thing and I don't want you as a counselor anymore, okay, have a nice day.
Right. Yeah, I mean, again, another thing too that kind of that's odd to me, not just particularly just with you, but you may be included, you're included. Um when a person oftentimes talks about white scholastic accomplishments such as degrees and
Hmm.
their book smarts as far as school and all of these types of things, but yet and still you talk about white supremacy, but you're basically upholding the white supremacy that you've kind of been indoctrinated with. That just seems like it's duplicable and it's double-minded, and it's almost
Like
as
that.
though one side isn't, a motherfucker really can't be, you're
Well,
not.
if that's the case, then our high school diplomas and everything that we learn is all white supremacy.
No,
So
but nobody, when a person flaunts that, you see
no,
what I'm
I'm not
saying?
fronting. I did that for transparency, not the flaunt.
No. It's the same. So, for instance, not just saying you, but what I'm saying, and when I say flaunt, I'm not saying it in a sense where it's like, oh, look, motherfucker, I got a degree and you don't. What I'm saying is that when just like with old girl who I was just telling you about, who came across as phony or whatever, she often talked about her schooling and going to school, going back to school, going
Okay.
back to school in the midst of her so-called pro-blackness.
Okay.
Now, not saying that you can't go back to school, but anybody who's black understands that first and foremost, you going to school to work for some white folks and basically be further indoctrinated into that system, and you have to play a game in that system. You can't be this pro-black person and then still try to ride the coattail of white supremacy and benefit from white supremacy and call it out at the same time, especially publicly. Like, there's one that's not real and one is not paying you and one is. So you can't play both sides, especially when you got to keep your lights on,
Okay.
unless you're trying to find a way to um make this pro-black thing your actual means of income so that you can get
No,
off that
I would
plantation.
never do that.
But it's all so it's like, how can you play both sides?
I'm not
That was
playing both
my.
sides. I'm playing my side. I don't. I'm trying to figure out what you've been to. But my thing is that I went to a historically black college just like you did, and so uh, even though I went to an historically black college, I still studied black psychologists such as Naeem Agbar and Amos Wilson, and a psychiatrist such as Dr. Chris Wilson. Even though you're receiving, even though you're receiving in a sense a Europeanized education, that don't prohibit you from still further educating yourself. I don't depend on any university to fully educate me. You still have to educate yourself. You
Right.
don't depend on a university to educate you.
But what
They
I'm
will
saying is there.
facilitate the framework,
Absolutely.
but you
However.
still educate yourself. And so when I deal with my people in therapy, I deal with them from a black perspective, an African centered perspective, because I'm dealing with African people. If when I'm counseling European people of European descent, I'm dealing with pure theoretical perspective because that's what that particular theory was initially created for. It's totally different. But you got to understand it. But you got to study other black psychologists and within the field who have done so and who are able. I had to learn that from other. I didn't learn that in college. I had to seek that knowledge and train. And through that way, I trained myself to do so.
I'll give you another example.
Huh?
Because I know Cher want to talk. I'll give you another example.
Okay,
Boyce
well,
Watkins.
get up. I gotta get to bed. Go ahead.
Okay. Boyce Watkins. Boyce Watkins oftentimes perpetuated himself, as this pro-black person, but he oftentimes mentioned his degrees in a very, this superiority complex type of way when it
Well,
came
you
to other
gotta
black people.
understand, and
Hold
don't
on. But
I,
then in the same token,
I
what
get
he.
what you're saying, but you gotta understand. Um, People who got those degrees, they had to work hard to get those degrees. I even my particularly when I was in grad school, And even some of the professors I had in my undergrad, they did the same thing.
Right, but here's the thing: they weren't speaking on white supremacy like that. Not and
No,
not only
they didn't
that,
have to. Not in that environment.
right, and not only that, when the whole Bitcoin thing was going on, he showed who he was and who I had already kind of peeped that he was a coon ass nigga. He showed who he was
You know,
by
I went
trying
to
to pretty.
the boys' convention last weekend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He showed who he was when he basically tried to sell black people off to the Wang the Yang guy. And I was actually attending those conference calls when they were trying to do the Bitcoin. And he was like, you know, y'all could buy Popeye's chicken and weave, but y'all don't want to invest in our packaging to help you get Bitcoin. So he used the Chinese guy and his white guy to pretty much further influence black people because he felt, you know, he tried to use the white man savior shit, and you know niggas will listen to the Chinese man, but he embarrassed black people. He basically tried to sell us off to these motherfuckers.
He was being a
um
capitalist. That's what he was doing.
he was being a coon because there is no fucking Chinese person that will utilize or bring any black man in their fucking business and say, well, you know, y'all gonna eat this fried rice anyway. Nobody does that. He's a fucking coon. And so anytime a black man who sits here and or any black woman who specifically always points out the fact that they have all these motherfucking degrees, like as though that's supposed to make a black person listen to you even more. And some niggas do because again, it shows their proximity to whiteness. Those
Well,
types of motherfuckers always raise flat red flags for me.
okay. What I'm gonna say in regards to that, there is a brainwashing process that you can allow yourself to get into if you don't be careful with yourself. But the thing about it is, because of my upbringing and my experience with people far before, with the majority culture far before I even got into that particular, my mindset was already set in stone how I'm going to be and what I'm not going to do. Now there are people that didn't have the same experience as I did. They had what they perceive as great relationships with the majority culture, so they think otherwise. What I'm going to say is that there is a great majority of those who think on those lines and who throw those degrees around as if that makes you better. I don't believe that. It just so happened that was able to, I was disciplined enough to matriculate through a curriculum to obtain the skills that I need. I just look at it from that perspective because when I interact with people, I don't care if you the thug on the street to the politician. I'm going to talk and act the same around either one. I'm not going to treat them any different. Now, that's just me. I'm not saying other people do that, but that's just me. So I don't. If you're my people, you my people. I don't care how many degrees you got, or if you don't have any, or even if you don't even have a high school diploma. I'm still gonna carry myself the same way, no matter what. So I don't know, but that's just not me. I mean, but that's just what it is. And as far as I've seen people do that. Matter of fact, the majority of people that I've come across, they actually do exactly what you're saying. They get those degrees and they think that this is supposed to give them more privilege, or they think that they're supposed to be immune from certain type of racism. Actually, it can actually increase because you're seen as a bigger threat because they have to compete against your ass, and they don't want to compete against you, and that's reality. So
Right, you know, and like I say, I
that's
mean,
it. That's pretty much it.
yeah, that's pretty much all I'm saying is that
Go
if your
ahead.
person is going to be pro black and stop switching back and forth and going back to this cracker's degree. You got the degree, utilize the degree, make it work for you. But then don't keep trying to bounce back off of that and use that as some type of leveraging tool for any other black person to say, well, I know a little bit more than you because I was able to follow behind a cracker and get his piece of paper, and that motherfucking cracker then indoctrinated me and told me that I was somebody because I followed behind his motherfucking ass and I just regurgitated everything that I was ingrained with
But
to
you
say that you're smarter than the next
Dr.
motherfucker.
Boyce,
No.
you speaking in terms of Dr. Boyce?
I'm speaking in terms of any black person who has a degree and use their degree to try to utilize a form of leverage or privilege over other black people, specifically when these people are talking about therefore blackness. sense. No, the fuck you're not when you're trying to utilize your fucking degree in your college white man education. No,
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
that's some
But
coon
in my
shit.
terms, I hope that wasn't the way I presented because I wasn't trying to do that. People didn't think I had anything, so I had to show it. That was my purpose. But if you talk to me in real life, I would never. I don't even bring up any of that. Matter of fact, I don't even like people even knowing that I'm a therapist because a lot of times when I let people know I'm a therapist, they kind of be like, "Oh, you're gonna try to do this and you in this psychological this da da da. You're gonna I don't even like talking about in my personal life. I don't even like talking about mental health outside of people that I know that actually work in the field. I talk about other stuff outside of that. That's just me. But okay, all
Ja
right.
Rules, what is your take on what I was saying
About what? About me?
about
About me
black people
with
who
education? I
yeah, that.
stopped telling people because I got a master's in education and I stopped like saying much about it because I didn't want people, like you said, coming across like I'm arrogant and I'm better than other people just because I'm educated with the right man's doctrine. So I don't bring that up. I don't mention on any of my videos or anything the kind of education that I had. I don't mention that because I
Yeah,
don't want
because
people thinking that because they can probably pick it up anyway that I might feel that way. And then
yeah,
what
and I
you said, let me just chime in with this. You said, Darrell, beat yourself, and then you attract who you attract. I often attract the type of brothers that want to be accepted by white people, and that's not where I'm at this point in my life. So,
but that's what you
want me
sound
to
like.
I think
right
I think
date
that's
outside my race and all that stuff. I'm not with that.
probably
I'm
attracted
not
to
with that.
people, guys
You sound like a weird ass
because
white dude
because they think
Wow.
just like
that
them.
gets drunk.
That's why.
Go ahead.
By the way by the sound of your voice, and I'm not asking you to change anything. I want you to be yourself. But I think they initially think you're just like them. That's probably why you
And what's funny is the my biggest audience of women that I would attract the most. It's not white girls. It's not black girls. It's mulatto chicks, and I
really.
think they can pick up the yeah, especially if they be young.
You're mulatto,
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm black. I'm dark skinned. I'm a regular black dude. I'm not. I don't got no features the way you would think that I'm a white person. My features are 100% negroid.
This nigga said nigger.
100%.
Like I said, you just sound like a fucking a white dude who probably like a, I won't say Italian, but you just sound like a very like a white dude that's ready to hurl off the nigger word, who will
You
get punched in his
Oh,
motherfucking shit.
that East Coast
oh.
that East Coast uh dialect.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you said Joe Pesci. That's what you called me on the
Yeah,
one video. You said I sound like Joe
New
Pesci.
Jersey type.
Nah. There's not. You wouldn't be able to look at me and say, "Are you mixed with anything?" Nah, you
Okay.
wouldn't be able to.
All right, guys. Well, look, it's time for me to cut it short. Holler at y'all on Saturday or Sunday. My channel will be in full effect, and we're gonna have another fire show. Good night.
Yeah, yeah. Later.